Hello and welcome to episode 243 of the Random Nintendo Podcast. I'm Jason.
I'm Angel.
I'm Kevin.
And this episode, this episode's topics actually ended up going in a direction I didn't expect. Like, I feel like typically this Thanksgiving period...
Absolutely no direction.
There is no direction, yeah. Because, typically with Thanksgiving, there's usually not much news. We have Nintendo's big flagship holiday game, and we share impressions of that. But for the first time in...
Wait, they had a big holiday game?
They did, exactly. Yeah, Age of Calamity, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity was their big flagship game. Well, that's what I'm getting at. It's this might be the first time in the show's history, possibly, that I don't think any of us bought the big holiday flagship game.
Because there wasn't one. There was just a game that released on that day.
Well, it did, it has an audience.
It's not.
It's definitely not a flagship. It's definitely not a flagship.
Not even close.
Right.
I'm not even being like, oh, it's a Warriors game. Actually, I guess I kind of am.
Well, it sold already 3 million copies.
Because
Koei Tecmo couldn't shut up
a game that Nintendo made.
Well.
I'm sure the Attack on Titan game also from Omega Force also sold 2 million copies.
This is the fastest selling Warriors game ever.
When I think of Nintendo flagship game, I just think of a game
first party
made by Nintendo. That's first party. This is not a flagship game,
and that's also not a Musou game.
Right. Which to my point, which you guys sort of helped with, is that
it's kind of crazy that this is in the Switch life. In the Wii U days, I know we definitely had a couple of years where we literally had nothing.
Well, we always had the holidays. We always had Christmas. but
yeah, Animal Crossing. We had Amiibo Festival.
That's true. That was one of the holidays, wasn't it? But there was something with Amiibo Festival, wasn't there? It wasn't just Amiibo Festival. There's something else. Mario Tennis Ultra. That gem. Okay, so I guess this is the first time since the sad tail end of the Wii U that there's a holiday game.
I don't know which one is
that we're not talking about.
At least this one's better in a way because whether it's your cup of tea or not, it's still a quality game. There's still a lot of effort put in there. It's still a well-made Warriors game.
Are you trying to say
even though it's a Warriors game, I'm sure it's a fine game. It just didn't feel flagship to me.
Are you trying to tell me that Mario Tennis Ultra with its one court and its 8 characters was less of a game than Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity? Because you'd be right. But yeah, I guess you guys are right. That's not reflection. But that kind of proves my point further because, this episode would be the one to cover that game, whatever it is, and it was left in sort of this limbo state as a result until, one by one, story by story, we actually got a good amount of stuff that happened over Thanksgiving week and the days after. I'm talking actual news, Super Nintendo World getting an opening date, that Switch firmware update that had all sorts of weird stuff.
Seems a little presumptuous, isn't it? Or is Japan just at a much better state that they can?
They are at a slightly better state. Well, we'll get to the date when we get there, but they are in a slightly better state. America
February is going to come whether we like it or not.
No. I meant in this episode.
If you want the update on our quarantine situation, listen to next week's Quarantine Chronicles.
I guarantee you. But
this update is going to be a doozy.
And it's going to be more of a doozy than we even think it is today. This week from here to there, it's going to get doozier. But but in this episode we have that stuff. We have actual game announcements, a new World Ends With You out of nowhere, and then stuff like Fortnite's doing all sorts of crazy things. So I guess the very too long didn't read or too long didn't listen or whatever you want to call it is that this episode is just a bunch of stuff. So we're going to be calling it Holiday Stuffing, which is not our strongest title, also not our weakest, frankly. But it is a total hodgepodge. So for everyone listening, you can follow along. What was that?
Debatable on the weakest.
What would you say the weakest is? And how deeply can you offend me with this answer?
No, I'm saying it is debatably one of the weakest.
Oh yeah, no, it is, no doubt, because it's a total hodgepodge of an episode, like I started to say. So now this episode,
and
really,
spoiler alert, listeners, we literally came up with the episode title a minute before we started recording.
This is true.
I think I'm going to start saying debatably now instead of just saying it is or isn't, because I feel like that way it kind of covers me. It's I don't even have to defend it.
It does.
Yeah,
it's debatable.
It's debatable.
Yeah. Some people say this is the weakest episode title.
But it is debatable. I probably can't even debate it.
But anyway, there's timestamps on the blog post for this episode, which once again has the stellar title of Holiday Stuffing. But be sure to stick around to the very end of the show because we are going to be picking our Game and Watch winner. Yeah, we actually went with that. Yep. But yeah, so stick around to the. I'm trying not to laugh, but stick around to the very end. We're going to pick our Game and Watch winner.
I wanted to call it the Untitled episode.
You never even said that, Kevin.
Yeah, I did. I said.
I think you were still on mute. I'm pretty sure you were still on mute.
Yeah, I might have still been there.
Yeah, we were having laugh. Oh no, wait, we've definitely cracked up in the show before.
Holiday stuffing, dude. Holiday stuffing. Anyway.
Oh, that's right. It was the Patriot.
Yeah, that was a mess when you tried to describe the Patriot on QC. But anyway, so just to reemphasize, because it got buried in Angel's Laughter, end of the show, you want to stick around to see if you won the Game and Watch. Or if you didn't even enter, you could hear some Mario memories from us and others. So, good times. But first, let's start where we always start, what we're playing. Angel, you're taking the lead on this one, I think. You're playing Enter the Gungeon, right?
Yeah, I started playing it. It's a game, it's been on my radar for a long time. Actually, do you remember when it came out? It came out over a year ago, I want to say.
It's been a while.
It was like 2018 or something.
Yeah,
right?
Enter the Gungeon. It was.
No, I think it's like 2017. It was definitely during that craze where all the roguelike games were coming out. All the pixel art roguelites were releasing by the dozen.
Because I remember it was early. It was one of the first few good eShop games that I remember came out on the Switch.
It came out in December of 2017 on the Switch, but prior to that, on Xbox One, it came out in April of 2017, and prior to that, it was on Windows, Mac, Linux, and PS4 in 2016.
Top of your head?
That game's old.
Yeah, that was not me reading Wikipedia. That was my Snapple cap of knowledge that I have, yes.
No. I'll keep believing. This game caught my eye a long time ago, mainly because it kind of felt like it was cut from the same cloth from Binding of Isaac. Like you guys already said, it's a roguelike game. It's kind of it's like randomly generated dungeons, enemies, that kind of stuff. But what kind of sets this one at least apart from Isaac and very few other games that I've played is that it just has a nice tight feeling compared to Isaac. The way Isaac handles is very particular. You can only fire in 4 directions. This one, you can fire in 8. And that already makes it a lot different. But besides that, you also get like a dash roll. So you get to vault over bullets and dodge projectiles that way. And that also just makes the gameplay a lot more hectic. But this one, unlike Isaac and a few others, the character design, it's a very tongue-in-cheek game. Extremely tongue-in-cheek. I think the humor more than anything is what I love about it. And to give you an example, the premise of the story is essentially these people, for various reasons, whether they're a marine, a hunter, or stuff like that, they want to enter the Gungeon to collect this mystical, powerful relic of a gun that will allow them to shoot and kill the past with a time bullet or something, and essentially rewrite their future. And through going through these dungeons, you fight literal anthropomorphic bullets. Well, they're not even anthropomorphic. They're literally just giant bullets with faces on them, little dot smiley faces. And they're pretty funny. They wobble around. A lot of character for such a simple design. And then you have bosses. I really don't want to spoil them, but I'll just say the first one you encounter, which is it starts off as a crow. And then it flexes, and then it rips off all his feathers during the flex because it's just so bulging in muscle. And then it's pretty much just a muscle bound Gatling gun wielding crow monster, and it's just shooting waves and waves of bullets at you where you have to dodge them. And obviously, the longer you survive, the more powerful you get. You get to continue the run, but if you die, then you have to start all over in the breach where you get to pick another character and try again. Because it is one of those games where it's extremely short, but you just do it for multiple runs. It's different every time. It's fun. You could play it with someone else, which is really cool. The only thing is that essentially the game only wants you to beat it as one of the special characters, or one of the pre-selectable characters. Because presumably, you only get that one ending. Because the second player is forced to play as a mysterious robed figure. And yeah, they don't get a plot or anything. They're kind of just there as like your player too, but they still get to get goodies and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's really fun. I would say it's more multiplayer friendly than Isaac. Isaac does have a multiplayer mode, but I mean, you could tell it wasn't really designed for it. It was kind of just thrown in there. It works, but yeah, this one is definitely more of a couch co-op kind of game, and yeah, definitely recommend it. I mean, I don't know if it's still on sale. It was $7 when I got it. It might be back to 14 or 15.
Was it part of the cyber deals that Nintendo was doing? Because
yes.
If so, it's probably back. Yeah, that all ended on the 2nd. So
yeah, and I mean, if you like top-down twin-stick shooters, I mean, this is a charming one that you should definitely get if you don't already have it, because like we mentioned, it's pretty old. But I mean, if you haven't played it, you could play it and just get hyped for it, because the sequel's coming out soon, or it came out already.
Exit.
It's already out. Exit the Gungeon.
Yeah, Exit. Is it Exit the Gungeon or Return to the Gungeon?
Yeah, it's Exit the Gungeon. Unless they announce a sequel that I have no idea about.
No, I think that one's it, because this one is no longer top down. It's like a 2D. It's flat. It's like a 2D side scroller.
Okay, so that's Exit the Gungeon, and it's apparently not very good.
Ooh.
Yeah, isn't it more of a spin-off than a direct sequel? Like, doesn't it go further down the like bullet hell route, so to speak?
I mean, it definitely has the title of the sequel. I mean, Enter and Exit, but yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does depart from this first one. So I wouldn't say if you like the first one, you like the second one. But if you like the aesthetics around the first one, you may enjoy the second one. But yeah, watch a trailer. Or maybe we'll end up getting it and talk about it here. But I mean, that might be in another 2 years.
Yeah, we're a little late with the Gungeons. Imagine though if our
to be fair, I did want to play this game a lot earlier. I remember like bringing it up to my brother, who I would have wanted to play it with, and I want to say he responded with not disgust, but like I don't really want to play that game.
Disgust is a strong word.
I can imagine him doing the face like reacting to you. Hey, do you want to play this game, brother? I can already picture his face.
Yeah, like I
don't talk to me for a week.
For some reason, I just imagine him going like, I don't know, maybe he like already heard about it or something. But then later, he was the one that came to me, thought like, hey, you should get into the Gungeon. And then that was like, what? I'm pretty sure I presented this game to you a long time ago. But,
isn't that weird when someone takes something you suggest and then flips it back as if they're suggesting it, and then you're like, wait. But like just in life, not in this instance. Just isn't that always?
It doesn't happen often, but I do recall me suggesting someone to someone, and then them not doing it, and then someone else suggested that same thing to that someone, and then
it's almost like you're targeting me with that comment.
Huh? Well, no, not even.
I
mean, yeah. Well, way to make everything about you. I mean, if you can apply to you, then I mean, all more power to you. But yeah, let's enter the Gungeon.
Kevin, have you been playing anything of note?
Not really. I'm still plugging away at Hades. Such a good game.
How are your Hades runs going?
Oh man, I usually do 1 or 2 runs a day. Today I just did 1 run right before recording this episode, and not my best run for sure. Probably one of my weakest runs.
How long does a run take from start to finish?
It honestly depends. You could try to just quickly go through all the rooms. You could find like optimal paths. You could skip some optional things, like there's some chests in some rooms that you can activate that will then sort of reset the room so that you get some bonuses afterwards. And you could just totally skip that kind of stuff. You could take rooms where there will be no fighting at all. That's you just pretty much skip an encounter completely right there. But usually they take anywhere from, I would say, 25 to 35 minutes.
That's pretty, like, bite-sized. To be able to do, like, 1 or 2 a day type of thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, still plugging away at that. Still possibly my game of the year. We'll talk about that soon.
And really possibly also the awards game of the year.
It's I thought Remake would be getting it, but, well, I'm not surprised.
Man, if they put out a 60 frame second patch for the PS5 for Final Fantasy, I might dip back into it, and that might make all the difference. But
Wait,
right now, no, just Hades.
Wait, so 30 frames per second in general just like not acceptable to you anymore?
Uh, Not that it's not acceptable. It's just I'd rather not deal with it if I don't have to.
That just sounds
So
crazy.
like I don't. I don't have to deal with. I don't have to deal with Final Fantasy in that really don't have to go back to it. But
I mean, I know
if they
60
do put
looks-
out that patch, I will then try to platinum the game.
I mean, I know 60 looks nice, but like sometimes like when I hear about like people like getting those like big graphics cards or like just trying to, I don't know, like I guess like bump up the resolution like so much. Like I don't know, maybe because I haven't got to that point yet. That maybe I don't know how hard it would be to go back, but I guess because I'm not there, like Jason and I
Well,
specifically, like we kind of been playing on like on the Wii and all these like SD
Right.
games. Only
Yeah.
now that do I have like a powerful computer, so it almost kind of makes me feel like, do people really need that to make the game good? I mean, for example, like I know I've played, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of like of a PS4 game that I've played that
Death Stranding.
yeah, like Death Stranding, or
You played
even
Death Stranding on PC. Try to go back to the PS4 version. It definitely
Or-
doesn't feel as good.
or even Alien, and I don't know, like I don't know, I think to myself like, oh man, I was really good on this, but then people have to play it on a nicer version that I guess is better.
Have I
but don't
ever
know.
shared on the show my mom's microwave theory of life? Because I think it's very applicable here. It's the idea that so it's the idea that if you never had a microwave, you don't need a microwave. You can get by just fine without a microwave. You have a stovetop, you have a toaster, you can do things like other ways. But once you have a microwave one time, you are never going back to not having a microwave. Once the convenience is there, you're going to use the microwave. I feel like this sort of like once you're at the 60 frames, once you're at 120, once you're at whatever, it's really hard to step back down. But when you're living in that lower life, so to speak, it's fine. You have no comparison point, so it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's only when it
absolutely.
gets
Like-
better that it feels worse.
Like I never thought that I needed a second monitor for my gaming personal computer, but now that I have a second monitor, it's like I can never go back to the single monitor life. Like going to work and working on our work computers, and it's only one monitor. I'm like, oh, this is so. I can't do it.
I totally feel that. Like when I put together these
monitor designs.
episodes, when I put together these episodes, I used to do it on my laptop, my 13-inch MacBook. I now, because I work from home, have my two like 20-something inch work monitors, and I'm now writing it on the monitor with the links on my laptop and other stuff on the other. I'm using 3 screens to put this thing together, which is not necessary, but I can't go back to the tiny one because now I have 3. Like it's just one of those things. And like kind of on the same token, like I never understood the big deal about like 4K whatever. I have a 4K TV now. I'm playing an upscaled Switch on it, and even then, like the only games I really play this week. So anyone who listens to Quarantine Chronicles knows I've been in the process of a move. But the only games I really tried out were just different things on that screen to see how they look on the bigger screen, and like. The blues in Super Mario 35 are so blue, and I can't go back to like lesser blues. Like they're so blue now, and I'm just wondering, like once I start going further down that road, if I could become more of a graphics snob.
I wonder if the rumored Switch Pro has HDR. I wonder if you will be able to go back down to a non-HDR live.
Yeah, I
style
don't
with,
know.
like,
I
games.
mean, I'm the real test of that for me is probably not even going to be if the Switch Pro happens. It's going to be now that like HBO Max and stuff is starting to put their, Warner Brothers do put all their movies on there, and they're going to be HDR and Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, this, that, and next thing. I'm wondering if I like try and go play a Switch game, if I'm going to be like, this doesn't look as crisp. Like, I don't know. I haven't got to that point yet. So far, the games look good. And again, Mario's blues are so blue, but I don't know. We'll see, but I've sensed myself going down that road, and I don't know if I like it because Nintendo's the opposite of that normally. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna have
I've
reckoning at some point.
I've been dipping like
And
my
I-
toes
I've-
like briefed in it. Like there's those games that have like performance mode and fidelity mode, or sometimes even on my computer. Like I'm playing Hearthstone, the card game. Like how much better can it look? I'll play it on my phone, my iPad, or on my desktop. But one time, like, I was playing, and then Olbeth walked into the room, and he's like, "Ugh, like, why are you playing like that?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Then he goes to, like, the settings, and, like, puts it all the way up. And they're like, there you go. Like, everything was, like, moving, like, super smoothly. It was more of, like, a frame rate thing. But,
I
I
just
didn't even notice.
I just like how Elvis in this episode is just this guy that walks into situations with disgust. Like, no matter what's happening, the story is always Elvis looks disgusted about something. Like,
He's just trying to improve our lives.
I know. He's disgusted at what low lives we have, yeah. But, alright, well, I guess that's it for what we've been playing. I guess we could just go to the grab bag of news at this point, right? Because, like I say at the top, it's kind of
stuffing turkey.
Yeah, the stuffing. Yeah, because it's kind of odd how much actual like stuff we got during things like this traditionally quiet Thanksgiving period, and like some stuff like we'd expect, like oh yeah, Switch sales are hot. Okay, like they're opening they just started a new production line in Malaysia because it's so in demand. Okay, but like actual announcements of like actual things that I don't think I at least expected, and I think really the most out of left field was Square Enix, just like the week of Thanksgiving. It was like, you know what? This is our week now. So first they announced a kind of lower key thing. They announced a remake of the PS1 game Saga Frontier, a remaster. It'll be coming to Switch and I think PS4 or 5. Neat for a subset of fans, but not necessarily big per se. I can see why they would trickle that out on a quieter week. But then on the other end of that spectrum, they announced a new World Ends With You game, 14 years after the original, called Neo: The World Ends With You, which seems like a big deal to just casually drop on like the Monday of Thanksgiving.
Like a Persona 5 Royale kind of deal, or a
no. This is from my understanding
EX or something.
From my understanding, it's completely new. It's
full body.
Full body.
Yeah,
full body. Yeah, I think this one's completely new. It seems to have a different main character. They're talking about going back into the world of the Reaper game.
Full-on 3D sequel.
Yeah, whoa. And it's I mean, Kevin, because you played the original, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of your read on this? Like with that trailer where they didn't show a whole lot. It's like 3 minutes of basically dialogue. But
yeah, I mean, I can't really make heads or tails of it. They if I remember correctly, they briefly show some combat, or maybe it was just stills that you see online, but I mean, I can't really make heads or tails. I don't know if Nomura is working on this.
He is.
But I wouldn't be surprised. He is? Okay, so this is now Kingdom Hearts canon at some point. At the end of the game,
I believe
at the end of the game, Sora's going to show up. Donald is going to be... I don't want to get into this.
Well, I was going to ask you, honestly, like, I guess spoiler territory for all of Square Enix. So, like, if someone doesn't want to know anything about any Square Enix, like, skip ahead a few minutes, but let me wait a beat. Okay, now that they skipped ahead, are you obligated to buy this, Kevin, because it is Kingdom Hearts? Because doesn't Kingdom Hearts 3 end with Sora dumped in this world, which means, by definition, this is now a Kingdom Hearts game, and you play all the Kingdom Hearts games, so now you have to buy this, even if it was just sort of a fancy remake?
I mean, I'll try it out. If there's a demo, I'll try it out. The thing about The World Ends With You is that it had a really interesting combat system on the DS, where on the bottom screen you were controlling. Man, I forgot his name. Neku, I think.
It's something like that, or Nico, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. You were tapping on enemies, and you had like little badges that you would tap on, and those were essentially your abilities. And you would swipe the stylus to have them move around this sort of, I don't know what kind of style you would call it. The Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, where like it's sort of 3D, but everything is flat.
Isometric?
If that makes sense. Not isometric.
It's sort of Paper Mario.
yeah, I guess so. Like side scrolling. I guess like a
2.5, like a 2.5D.
No, because 2.5D is like 2D, but with
like
3D
Street Fighter 4,
0.5.
Street Fighter 5.
I would say
I'm gonna stop guessing because we could do this for hours. Just
yeah. But on the top screen, you are also fighting by using analog the D-pad inputs and the shoulder buttons. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to see if they're going to use that mechanic where you're controlling two characters at the same time.
Did
maybe
they keep
sort of like a Astral Chain situation? But
did they keep that in the Switch remaster and the phone remake of World Ends With You?
I didn't try those, so
okay. Because I know that like I feel like in some way like this sequel isn't really surprised because they kept re-releasing the original one, and then they had the anime announcement at last Anime Expo, and it's like this whole franchise for them now. But the reason I'm bringing that all up is because the game that was released on Switch and the game that was released on iPhone, they took that 2-screen thing. It's one screen. Those devices only have one 16:9 screen opposed to 2:4:3s.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering, like, they obviously had to reconfigure
you can't
something.
do things, just split it down the middle.
Right, but there's no touch. I guess there's touch on both, actually, so I guess it could work.
There's no D-pad on a phone, really, but...
Right,
I mean,
or on the Switch, for that matter, am I right? But yeah, it's... Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's funny because you made the comment, like, I can't make heads or tails of it, and the thing that jumped out to me from the, like, 10 seconds of footage of combat, it kind of looked like Tales, like, of Symphonia. Like it had, like, an action RPG vibe from what I saw, I think. It's too early to tell, maybe, but, like... It definitely looked like it was like real-time combat of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Didn't look pretty, honestly, but I mean, what can you do?
It's 2020.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this was sort of a low priority for Square Enix.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, make this game. You can make your World Ends With You sequel. Just make it for $15 million and call it a day.
Well, what's weird about it is
they will try to squeeze those 15 millions into an enjoyable game, I'm sure.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's because if it takes production values take a hit, which they might. Like the cutscenes in the trailer were all comic book panels with speech bubbles, not animated.
That's how they were.
In the original.
So maybe they're trying to. I guess they can just write that off as like, oh yeah, this is absolutely a sequel. We're doing exactly what we did. And not say like, yeah, this is a budget game.
I suspect they're using because the game had like one of the cool things I remember about, like I never actually played World Ends With You, but one of the things I always thought was really cool about it was the look of it, like that kind of pop comic book Shibuya hybrid thing. And like honestly, even though the game does seem a little budgety in its graphics, like it is kind of staying true to that, like the sharp edges of like they basically did no anti-aliasing, but they kind of like masked it with like sharp edges. It works
to its favor.
It works. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they essentially just 3Dified what the old one looked like without really like, this is no Octopath in terms of the amount of graphic detail it has. But
right.
Yeah, but I guess we'll find out more. It's coming out next year. That does kind of explain why it's on PS4, not PS5, along with Switch, is because like. The graphics don't really need it. Like, unless it's running at like 120 frames or something, in which case, okay. But
yeah, and plus you'll be able to play it on your PS5, no problem.
Backwards compatibility, yeah. But it was kind of cool to see that Square Enix is like actually, finally delivering something that fans of the original probably wanted for a really long time. I mean, this thing was a big game on the DS and then kind of slipped away and sort of is rebuilding now. So you would think though they do a bit more budget if they're launching an anime and stuff with it, but. Who knows? Maybe it's also early. They didn't say when next year was coming out, just next year, so hard to say. But that's the world Neo, The World Ends With You. But that franchise oddly wasn't the only game of the DS and Wii era that kind of got a new lease on life over Thanksgiving. The WiiWare series BIT.TRIP, the BIT.TRIP series, that's coming back too. To Switch, although it's a bit more of a direct fashion. Choice Provisions, who used to be Gungeon Games, they're teaming up with this publisher called Cubic Games, and they're literally just porting over all 6 of the originals to the Switch. So that's Beat, Core, Void, Runner, which is the predecessor to Runner 3, which may be a name that some Switch owners are familiar with. And Runner 2. And Runner 2. Well, yes, true. You had to get 2 to get 3. But anyway, those along with Fate and Flux. And Switch ports are a dime a dozen, but these are good arcade games from what I remember from you playing them, Angel, right? Because you own the 3DS collection, Wii collection, one of the collections.
It was 3DS. It was BIT.TRIP Saga, so it was in 3D, which was pretty awesome, and it did have all 6 of those, and I did play all of them, and yeah, they were very awesome. I love this series. I mean, these are basically just rhythm games. Like they all go to the beat of. Not any kind of like, I don't know, I guess like licensed music. It's just funky beats, funky techno, blips and bloops, but to rhythmic balance. And I guess like people that want to dig into it, you can find a story in there. Like you could say BIT.TRIP Beat is like where everything starts. It's literally just like single player Pong. That's probably the best way to describe it. But you're moving
kind of.
Yeah, but you're moving up and down, and you're just basically trying to block all these blips from like getting past you. But you don't want to. yeah, you don't want to miss too many because then you die. And that one's alright. I mean, it's fun. Like, I mean, the music in all of these is obviously really great, but like where it starts getting more interesting is like I would say probably Void is where like I start like really liking these. BIT.TRIP Core, that one is it's interesting. It's more like I don't even know how to describe it because it's kind of weird. But essentially, the game is split into 4 quadrants, and bullets are flying in from the top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and all you do is press left, right, up, or down, and that will create a line that will block said bullet. So you want to make sure you put the line in the right place so that you can block the little blip from getting past you, and yeah, just causing damage. I mean, that one's fun. I mean, it's pretty. A lot of these earlier ones are pretty much just variation on the same thing. You could argue there's no core difference between this one and BIT.TRIP Beat. But core though, that one is where it gets a little more different.
Did you say there's no core difference?
I did.
Is that a pun? We gotta stop you in your tracks to confirm. Okay.
But
you can go on now. Sorry.
Yeah, you just kind of derailed my whole train of thought there. But yeah, BIT.TRIP Void, I really like that one. This one essentially just moving a black sphere, or it's not even a sphere, it's just a black circle. You're freely moving it around the screen. You're just trying to collect all the black dots while trying to avoid all the white ones. And they all move, kind of to the rhythm of the music. You're essentially trying to follow a path. Every time you grab a little black void, you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until, it just obviously becomes more and more difficult to dodge the little black ones. And I don't know, that one's really fun for some reason. I don't know, I just get like a lot of mileage out of that one. But then you get to, I guess I would say it's like the main event, which is obviously BIT.TRIP Runner. Because that one is full on, that one's just like a full on little rhythm platformer. Every obstacle, every projectile that you have to dodge, everything is timed to the beat of the music. So while it's not like Rhythm Heaven where you could literally play with your eyes closed, if you are keeping up with the beat, you can do pretty well in it. You could just use the beat to time your jumps and stuff. And sometimes you kind of have to, because sometimes projectiles will come at you really fast, but you're just running from left to right. You press forward and you create a shield, press down and you slide, you have a kick. I don't know, it's just really fun and it doesn't really get tiring, and there's even like some boss battles, and that one obviously, because of how great it is, it just kind of spun off into BIT.TRIP Runner 2 and 3, which kind of got wackier and wackier. Like BIT.TRIP 1 had like an 8-bit aesthetic. BIT.TRIP 2 had a kind of a 3D wacky funhouse creepy aesthetic. I don't know, it was very toony. It was kind of weird.
And it was very rounded. Like they really were like, look, these pixels are now 3D, so they like everything was like curved. Like all the characters were like curvy.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite for that, but I don't know, it's just very weird. I mean, well, the art style, like the game itself is incredibly
the art
like,
style.
Yeah, like Runner 2 is great. Like if there was a way to play the Switch version, the Wii U version, if it got ported, I don't know if it did, I would definitely really recommend getting that one.
I think they only brought over 3.
Well, they didn't. Well, 3 was always on the Switch. I don't think that was ever on the.
Oh, that's
Wii
right.
U.
That's right. You're right. Yeah.
But yeah, Runner 3, and then that one. I mean, that one's just great. Like the art style just kind of got a little wackier. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't as good as 2. I feel like 2 just had better overall tracks, and it also felt more polished. I don't know. Something about 3 just kind of felt a little rough around the edges. Not really a fault on it. I mean, I still beat it, but yeah, something about it just didn't quite feel right.
It felt to me like 2 was this right game at the right time on the Wii U, and like they had, they introduced like Charles Martinet as the voiceover, and it was like perfectly like, hey Nintendo fans, look at this, and it had kind of the backing of Nintendo in a way. They didn't obviously pay to make it, but like it had some of that weight behind it. And I feel like 3 was just them going like, can we do that again? But they had none of the momentum.
Yeah.
Like it was just
also,
them on their own, and thus it kind of felt a little rougher, and like it just was like them like, let's just do it again. And it's hard to make lightning strike twice and have that like perfect situation that the game.
Yeah, and their big gimmick for this game or part 3 was more like, oh, and now instead of just going left to right, now you're going in and out sometimes, or and I mean, I don't know, that doesn't really change much. It's kind of like Mario Kart 8's gravity, like that really only changes the track design. It doesn't really change much to the actual game. Not the way Mario Sonic All-Stars actually did have full-on flying, full-on like water sections that literally changed the mechanics of the game, and that felt like more fleshed out. The other ones felt a little more timid, but where are they going with this? Oh yeah, and then finally you have BIT.TRIP, Fate, and Flux. Fate it's kind of like an on-rail shooter. It's kind of weird. But it still works, but it's probably not as good as Runner. And then you also have Flux, which I even barely remember how this one worked. So it's probably not even worth mentioning. Honestly, however much it costs. Yeah, I'm just gonna go at that.
No, that's fair. That's
like
fair.
I got a lot.
They've been around for a while.
I mean, I got a ton of mileage from literally just Runner and like Void. So like those will probably be good, and I might even pick this up again just so that I could play them on the TV, because I definitely played the heck out of them on the 3DS. So yeah,
here's the caveat.
Close to double dipping again.
Here's the caveat though. They're decoupling them. They're not selling it as a package like what you bought. You can buy each of these individually for $4.99 starting Christmas Day. Which on the one hand is like
bad, because
because
I just mentioned, you could just get Runner and Void,
or maybe like Beat if you want the basics.
I do kind of wish you could buy them together. Because it is nice to have the whole thing. No, like in one package.
Oh, well, that's what's kind of funny, because technically
with a
it's
menu that ties
price.
it all together. I mean, like, it's already there. Like, why not just... Because what I liked about the BIT.TRIP Saga is that, like, it just had, like, one menu that, like, it shows, like, Commander video, and then it zooms into his face, and then you get to pick which one you want. And there are kind of, like, a story. I mean, there is, like I mentioned, like, it shows you, like, the creation of Commander video and kind of how he's evolving from, like, a simple pixel all the way to, like, what he ultimately ends up as in Flux. But yeah,
like, honestly, it's a psychological thing totally, because like the 6 games minus that menu you're talking about, the 6 games combined are like the same price as the collection would be, because it's $5 a pop. There's 6 of them. It was $30 for the collection.
Seems like a hassle to have to buy 6 separate things in the cart.
Not just that, but it's a psychological thing. But it feels like they're nickel and diming it a bit. They're not. It's the same price. In fact, it's probably more work to do
space 6 in my like Switch home screen.
Yeah, I guess, but
like
I don't know.
A lot
just
of real estate being taken out. I just want one icon.
Something about it. It's like, but something about pricing psychology is so weird, because like Walmart obviously is infamous for like we did rollback prices. It's $19.92, not $99. That's so much cheaper. But like, I don't know, something about this, like, I'm falling for the psychology, or the reverse psychology trick here, I guess, of like, it's technically a better deal. You can get the 2 or 3 that are good for half the price and not worry about the others. But it just feels, I don't know, like, it feels like breaking apart the package feels like it's cheaper, and so, like, cheapening it in some way. It's strange. I don't know if you have that same feeling. I know you like the idea of one menu, but it's very weird that, like, literally it's the exact same price, but it just feels, ugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty icky. But
yeah,
it is what it is.
But yeah, so that's out Christmas Day for anyone who's interested. Sounds like the recommendation coming out of you is Void and Runner are worth checking out, if there were any specifically to look at.
Yeah, definitely check out a trailer. I mean, they're all like pretty unique. They're all pretty unique from each other, except maybe the first 2. I mean, you have to look at the second one, which was Core. No, not Core.
Yeah, it was Core.
Oh, it was Core. Yeah. I mean, Core like looks a lot different from 2, but it's pretty similar. I don't know. You just have to see them yourself. But I mean, if you like rhythm games, I think you can't really go wrong with any of them. But obviously, Runner is the big one.
I want this to succeed, so Nintendo decides to do their series of art style and bring that over to Switch. I feel like I talked about this briefly when we were talking a few episodes about how like weird Nintendo is missing from the Switch, like the small projects, like the Jump Rope Challenge, Jump Rope Challenge is the closest we've gotten, but like the art style games on DSi were kind of like the parallel track to the BIT.TRIPs at the time. Like BIT.TRIP was this, Wii thing that was this outside party that was doing stuff. Art style is Nintendo kind of making a different aesthetic and working with different companies like Q Games, who does pixel junk and things like that. I would love if Nintendo like looks at this, sees it do well, or even just looks at the Switch sales and goes, "Hey, free money," and makes HD versions of art style. They're all simple little puzzle games, but they're all really clever, and it just seems like this just made me think of that when I saw the announcement. I'm really hoping someone in Nintendo had the same thought, but who knows? They're resting on some they're sitting on some like pretty solid little bite-sized games. I hope they do something with it. But yeah, those were just a couple of the announcements that happened during the holiday period here. But that was kind of just the tip of the iceberg. Unless you have any other thoughts on BIT.TRIP.
No, that's pretty much it.
We also got, in that case, the release date for Doom Eternal, which is still, in fact, coming to Switch. It's coming this Tuesday, December 8th. And,
what?
Yeah, like literally in like 2 days from when this goes live. And it is now digital only, which is an interesting move. But Panic Button did not seem to skimp on the port at all. Like it's, with the original, has gyro controls, has support or plans to support post-launch DLC. They're including the full multiplayer mode. But the thing that I was just like, oh, come on, is like, tell me as a Nintendo fan, if you haven't heard this one before, in typical, like, undercutting the late port fashion, of course, the Switch version of Eternal is arriving right about at the same time that Doom Eternal is now joining Xbox Game Pass. Which on the one hand, they cater to somewhat different crowds on some level. Like, one is Doom and its glitziest
Wait, isn't Game Pass $1 right now?
It is, yeah. But again, it's like they're kind of slightly different audiences, because like you could have the glitzy glamour, like super nice graphics on your Xbox, or you could play it on the go on your Switch. So they don't fully overlap. I don't know if it supports xCloud, so I don't know if you could do like Doom Eternal streaming to your Android device yet. But the timing is just like, even with the different audiences, the timing is just like, like every time. Remember when this happened? Mass Effect on the Wii U, and then EA's like, nope, we're done. Like, they put Mass Effect 3 on the launch for the Wii U, and then Trilogy came out the same month for PS, I guess, 3 and Xbox 360 at the time. Like, it's just, I don't know. I hate when this happens. I mean, it's probably a coincidence, because Microsoft, they just purchased Bethesda, and now they're using those IPs. But nonetheless, it's still kind of weird. Which, actually, that's something we've never talked about on the show. How wild is it that Microsoft bought Bethesda a couple months ago? Like, all of Bethesda. Like, the company Bethesda and all those properties.
Does it make any difference?
Well, maybe. I mean, first of all, just for those who don't know what Bethesda has, we're talking Elder Scrolls,
Buggy games.
Skyrim. Yeah, good answer. No, but Elder Scrolls, Doom, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, upcoming stuff like Deathloop and Ghostwire, like that's all. Am I forgetting a key Bethesda franchises here?
So to be fair, they didn't necessarily acquire Bethesda. They acquired ZeniMax, who are the owners of Bethesda.
Which means they own Bethesda, essentially. Unless
they didn't buy Bethesda. They bought ZeniMax, which owns Bethesda.
Which
Does
means
that mean they have some leeway with some other properties? Because it's like rights and laws. I'm sure there's some kind of law trickery going on in there somewhere. Not sure how that works, but
I think
could just be making it up as I go along.
I don't know. I'll put it this way. Microsoft's doing interviews talking about what they're going to do with Bethesda. So I think they do essentially own Bethesda. Like,
Yes. Well, what the distinction that I was trying to make is that they just didn't go straight for Bethesda and left ZeniMax.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Does ZeniMax have any other studios?
They bought ZeniMax and included... I'm sorry?
Does ZeniMax own any other studios?
I'm not too sure, but I do believe that they do have other products aside from video games.
Interesting. But yeah, it seems like to your question, Angel, in terms of like the properties, I mean, these are now all balls in Microsoft's court with all these properties. But it sounds like they do plan to continue supporting other platforms, including Nintendo ones. So, assuming Doom Eternal doesn't like get completely shut out because you can just go get it on Game Pass for $1, it does sound like Nintendo's still going to get games from Bethesda. Literally just like a week or two ago, the chief financial officer for Xbox was just saying that the idea isn't to remove Bethesda content from other platforms. It's to make it, as he put it, best on Xbox. So it's very much the Minecraft strategy, because ultimately, having these games on every other system, there's money to be made there.
But isn't Minecraft best on PC?
Which is a platform owned by who?
But it's not Xbox, though. You just said best on
Microsoft.
Xbox.
Well, Xbox is their game division, which includes...
I know, that's why you said, yeah.
Okay,
I'm being nitpicky about it.
I know.
Otherwise, you would have said best on Microsoft, I guess.
On Microsoft? Yeah, it's not a thing. But yeah, they, it sounds like they're going to basically either launch it first on those platforms and move it over later, kind of like we've seen happen with Ori coming to Switch, both games in that series, or they're going to do multiple launches, but have it like you get on, or multi-platform launches, but you could get it on Game Pass if you have it on Xbox, or you could get like some exclusive thing if you have it on Xbox. But it does sound like, even though this acquisition happened, all these franchises being under Microsoft don't necessarily mean we're not going to see them anymore, which in a way is good.
Quick,
yeah.
Sorry. Quick correction. So ZeniMax Media, basically controls pretty much
the world,
exclusively everything that Bethesda publishes, without them being called Bethesda exactly. If that makes sense.
So they're like a holding company.
So like Bethesda's games are published by Bethesda. But then ZeniMax also owns id Software, Tango Gameworks, but they're published by Bethesda. So it's almost like if they were published by ZeniMax instead of Bethesda. That's where some of the confusion
Interesting. Well, that explains how like Doom and Wolfenstein fell into this.
Yeah, because they're not
they're
not
yeah.
Bethesda developed. They are Bethesda published, but they're all owned by ZeniMax.
So basically they have a bunch of sister studios, but they didn't establish publishing arms in all studios.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's like second party. It's like internal second parties, which I guess are first parties.
Yeah, which is just first parties. Yeah, it's
this
confusing.
is yeah. But well, thank you for that correction. Yeah, that is very strange. But yeah, it is just kind of interesting. I mean, well, one, like just the sheer like magnitude of that's a big acquisition. But it is kind of interesting.
It was like one of the biggest power moves in recent video game history.
And now
it's like if Sony were to buy EA.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that'd be crazy. But you know what's funny?
Which the acquisition of EA
something?
An unprecedented partnership. Yes, Angel.
Yeah. There's always rumors about like EA and Sega being bought.
Well, Sega, there was a moment. Sega was a thing. Back when Xbox was trying to be established over at Microsoft, they approached Sega and Nintendo about acquisitions because they want to just buy their way in. Because at the time this was 2000 or so, and Microsoft was the biggest tech company.
But I was saying like more recently.
Oh yeah.
There's been rumors of like, oh, can you believe who Microsoft's about to buy? Sega. I'm like, whoa, man, that means they technically buy Atlas as well, and it's like, oh.
But it's interesting though, because if they're going multi-platform, does it really matter? They seem like, I mean, it is nice.
They're
don't
being
want
very, very coy.
That's what I was about to say.
Coming from Phil Spencer, everything coming out from like other studio heads and like Microsoft publishing like executives. It's almost contradictory, which is a little infuriating. Because like you had a couple of weeks ago, Phil Spencer saying that like, we don't have to put these ZeniMax games multi-platform in order to make our money back. Pretty much saying like, yeah, we don't have to put these on PlayStation at all. Like, I'm fine with not putting them on PlayStation or Nintendo at all.
And
then
you
have this guy being like, oh yeah, like we don't plan on cutting Nintendo and Sony out. We just want it to be the best on our platform. We're like, well, which one is it?
No, that's fair. And it's interesting because like, both strategies are currently Microsoft's strategy, which is strange to say because it is contradictory. But like, remember for a while there, all these Xbox games are coming to Switch. Oh, they're gonna maybe bring Game Pass to Switch. They were talking about how they want to be open ended and platform agnostic, and it's all about getting games in people's hands, however it is. And then they suddenly pumped the brakes and went, but like we are gonna launch this console, so everything we just said, nah. Like I think Phil Spencer literally at one point was saying like it got to the point where every Xbox game someone would ask him, is it coming to Switch? And he got tired of having to tell them no. So he's just, now the blanket statement is nothing will. But he was the guy that like 2 months earlier was like, yeah, everything will. So you're right. There is a little contradiction there. I mean, that's where the rumors of, Halo coming to Switch really came from. And it sounded like at one point
people thought
it was going to happen.
Going to happen?
The way Microsoft was talking.
Wasn't there that Halo DS prototype? There
was, yes. Halo existed on DS and is officially sanctioned by Microsoft, and it was somewhat in development, and then they pulled the plug because I guess it wasn't up to par or whatever. But yes, it was a thing, and they've worked with Nintendo before. Obviously, some of the Rare stuff that happened, like Rareware stuff that happened on the DS and GBA, Microsoft basically loaned out Rare back to Nintendo to do Diddy Kong Racing DS, and some of the GBA stuff like Grunty's Revenge, Banjo-Kazooie, although that was via THQ. But like Microsoft has been on Nintendo for a while now. Zoo Tycoon, I remember the Tycoon games were on DS and they were, again, published through THQ, but they were Microsoft studios that were making them. So like they have this weird like will they won't they sort of thing going on with Nintendo. And this is just at a much larger scale because of the properties involved. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see, I guess. But it is interesting, kind of you're saying that, like, how it's a power move and what's Sony going to do. It does kind of feel like there's some sort of arms race starting to happen now. Because, like, Bethesda's definitely the biggest get yet, but Sony's CEO, the Interactive Entertainment CEO, Jim Ryan, is saying that they're open to buying up some studios to help bolster their PS5 lineup.
Huh. Not going to happen.
Of course
Sony
not.
Constantly bleeds money. It's usually always like PlayStation's the only profitable branch of Sony.
Yeah, but they're open to it. They're open to it, and it does make you wonder, like, if Microsoft's buying up companies left and right, and Sony's
they'd be lucky to have enough money to buy like THQ.
THQ doesn't even exist anymore. that's
they
do. Oh, you're right, THQ Nordic, right?
Yeah, no, they are now THQ again. They
dropped the Nordic. When did they drop the Nordic?
Huh.
Yep. Unless I'm just
speaking might be right.
out of my butt now.
No, you might be right. The funny thing about that is like there's a conglomerate for you. Deep Silver, who owns THQ Nordic and a bunch of others. Koch Media, who owns Deep Silver and THQ Nordic and a bunch of others. Like, that's kind of like a low key like powerhouse company. But yeah, it does make you wonder though, like. I don't think they're going to anytime soon, but like, is Nintendo going to jump into the fray here? I mean, I would guess not, since outside of Retro Studios and Monolith Soft, they tend to prefer second party style relationships, like, what they do with Next Level Games for Luigi's Mansion, or, kind of like we were talking about earlier, someone like Koei Tecmo with Age of Calamity, where it's a separate company from Nintendo, but they're working in tandem with them, or all the stuff they do with Namco Bandai all the time. But it is still sort of an interesting question, like, if Nintendo were to acquire someone, who would actually make sense to acquire? Like, who fits Nintendo or complements them well? Because, like, Monolith Soft, to me, did not feel like the obvious choice for Nintendo to acquire. Like, the Xenogear series, but what they provided for Nintendo has been incredibly useful. Like, both in terms of the technical know-how for these broader games, they help with Breath of the Wild. Xenoblade's been very big for Nintendo. But also, like, you look at how they acquired, like, Retro, and Retro's, like, helping with Mario Kart games now, and, like, obviously did the Donkey Kong stuff. So there is, like, sort of, and, they were bought to fill a void with Metroid Prime. So there is sort of this, like, what's missing in Nintendo's lineup that third party can help with, which is a different perspective, I think, than what Microsoft is doing, where it's just, like, what IPs can we snatch up that will be, like, a big deal to us? So it does make you wonder, like, what IPs could we buy for Microsoft? Like, what IPs could we buy that would, like, sell our service more or sell Xbox more? While it feels like all their partnerships look to augment their first party offerings.
You hate to say it.
Before the Tencent stuff, I would have said they absolutely would have bought Platinum.
That is 100% what I was going to say. Yeah. And I mean, Tencent
too.
only has, I think, a quarter to half stake in Platinum, so Nintendo could buy it out. Nintendo works with Tencent. They could do a co-ownership. What were you going to say, Angel?
Yeah.
No, nothing.
Oh, sorry about to say something. But yeah, no, like Platinum I think makes a lot of sense. Like I feel like their stuff is already so intertwined with Nintendo. Like I realize Bayonetta started... What?
I can only think of two things.
Well, their two biggest, Bayonetta and Wonderful... Well, Wonderful 101's not their biggest, but... what do you mean by two things? Like two of their franchises?
Yeah, just those two. Those are the only things I could think of that... Well, not even Bayonetta. I wouldn't even say Bayonetta feels Nintendo. They just own it. Like, that just feels kind of like circumstance.
But that's what I mean is like now like it's tied to the brand. So even if it did a game like Bayonetta have roots somewhere else, Nintendo's marketing of it has been so tied into their systems now that Bayonetta like kind of is a Nintendo property. I mean, granted they just own it, but that's true with like the Xeno games. It was Gears, and they acquired it, and they just sort of spun it into their own thing. And plus, like Platinum, they
spun it into their own thing. Xenoblade.
Yeah,
I think if you ask like a Xenosaga person, it's not really like the same thing as Xenosaga.
True.
Like Bayonetta 2 is literally just a sequel to Bayonetta 1, which they were probably hoping to already make, but they probably couldn't find the funding, and then Nintendo just bankrolled them. Like, because I never thought of Bayonetta as like I mean, the fact that it even got bought out by Nintendo and became it's like amazing. I mean, it's a cool thing it happened, but it always it feels more like a black sheep, which might even be appropriate because the Umbra Witch is kind of like I don't know. It's and then there's the fact they're in Smash Brothers. I feel like doesn't even help make it more Nintendo-y. It's just they're just obviously embracing it. They're making the most of it, but like when I think Nintendo, like I think Wonderful 101, like that felt like a game that was designed to fit with like Nintendo's aesthetic. I mean,
where do you rank Astral Chain? Because that's also a Platinum original that Nintendo bankrolled.
That one feels more Nintendo. That would be under Nintendo-y. Wonderful 101. It's like somewhere between Bayonetta and Wonderful 101. But
I guess the key thing about all of them is they are filling a void or a hole or whatever in Nintendo's lineup that Nintendo doesn't usually make. Like they don't do these sort of like
over the top action games.
Exactly. And and even like when Platinum tried to make a Star Fox Zero, like it was a Star Fox, just had wonky controls. But nonetheless, like they're very versed in the Nintendo world now. So yeah, I think Platinum would probably make the most sense. I feel like Next Level Games basically is a first party studio, but like I don't know, if Nintendo were to acquire someone else, like that seems like such a given.
That's right. Next Level Games makes
Mario Strikers.
Perfect sense. I mean, it would have made sense for them to acquire the people that make the Mario and Luigi games, but I don't know what happened to them.
But see, it's almost like Nintendo's looking at those situations those partnerships they currently have and going, well, hey, this works as is. We don't need to buy Next Level Games. They're already doing stuff for us. They're already doing the types of games we need them to do. It's almost like they need to go seek out people like Platinum, where if they were to buy anyone, which again, I don't know if that's totally their speed, but if they were to, like, they need to find someone that's going to offer something different. Like, I almost think on some level they made a mistake in not buying Monster Games, who made the Excites, both the bots, the trucks, the bots, and I think Excite Bike World Rally, or maybe not that one. But, like, those were kind of like these sort of racing games that's very not Nintendo's type of racing game. They're arcadey. They're kind of like they're like an update of like the cruising formula. Like that would be an interesting company to possibly bring, into the fold, or maybe a sports developer of some sort. They used to have a lot of sports games in the N64 days. Like they had the whole N Sports line, and they had deals with Kobe Bryant and Ken Griffey Jr. and like all these different things, and they kind of trickled some of those over to the GameCube, and then they fell to the wayside. And even stuff like Wave Race kind of was like part of that. And 1080 snowboarding was kind of part of that whole like sports angle that disappeared. And if EA's not going to give them Madden, I mean, we do get FIFA, but it's a really old port. We do get, do we even get baseball? I don't even think we will be getting baseball, actually. MLB The Show's going to come to Switch.
What?
But there's a lot of sports games. Yeah. They announced that last year. Sony said they're going multi-platform with their renewed deal with,
that was last year,
with Major League Baseball.
This year has been like 20 years long. Last year.
I know, but yeah. But anyway, my point is like there is like that void that Nintendo could fill with sports or extreme sports or something. It's just like I don't know who they would buy for that necessarily, but it just seems like there's opportunities there. Should they take the bait and want to do it? But
Way Forward?
that would be an
That
interesting
one makes
one.
sense. Yeah.
That one I could see them, or
Especially
at least
after that
partnering
hit
with them.
Bakugan game.
Well, I mean, it did have Leonidas, so there was no way it wasn't going to be a hit.
Yeah, totally. That could actually be kind of an interesting one because I think they don't necessarily have to buy them, but they seem like a next level game store studio where it would be great if they did like a Wario Land or something and really sort of own like that type of 2D platformer, like the
Do
kind
they
of
own
Metroidvania.
the company that makes Kirby's Epic Yarn? Goodfeel?
Goodfeel, I believe I think they might be a second party. Nintendo rarely buys companies. That's what's so strange. Because it
Yakuza would
leaves
also be
them
a good
out.
fit, I think.
Oh, yeah. So they don't own Retro. They're just a second party. This is like a partnership. Or
No, Retro they do own. There's a few they do own. They own Retro. They own Monolith. They owned past tense Rareware. But those are like it. Like there's not a lot of internal like if you look at like Xbox
Wait, I don't think they
Studios
ever owned
or
Rareware,
Sony's,
right? Because I remember like they were on
They own
sale.
Rare.
They were like, I think they wanted to be bought by Nintendo, but Nintendo refused.
They owned 51% of Rare or something like that. So just enough to have a controlling
I can't
stake.
believe they got rid of them like that. That now, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm sure there's a reason because maybe there isn't. But that one was like I feel is always like the most perplexing one to me because like, why would you give up Conquer and Banjo? I don't know what else they gave up. I guess GoldenEye,
Jet Force Gemini,
Jet Force Gemini. I guess
and
Perfect
Perfect
Dark.
Dark.
Well,
I think.
When I say it out
for
loud.
Nintendo,
Battletoads.
I think the thing with that, yeah, Battletoads. If you think about
You know what?
from,
Well, actually,
truthfully, why
I mean, I do love Banjo
with Rare.
and Conquer was cool, but at the same time, I guess. I mean, all those are acclaimed games. I mean, they did make Donkey Kong Country 1 through
GoldenEye.
3, which, that is a big deal for Nintendo. And maybe that is why they distanced themselves from the Kremlings for a while, except for K. Rool and Mario Sluggers for some reason. And he had like a stubby tail. Or I don't even think he had a tail in that game for some reason.
Take that one up with Namco Bandai. I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah, they gave him more of like an Aztec design because they gave him like a neck wear thing. But anyway,
truthfully, why I think they let Rare go. If you look at what Rare did, well, Rare saved Nintendo's butt in the N64 games.
that's why they repaid them.
There were so many gaps in the lineup. Nintendo
Came
had
to
so
the
much
curb.
trouble. And yeah, exactly. And Rare's like, we got you.
Jack.
But you know what started to happen is
I've outgrown
Rare
you.
notoriously. What was that?
Oh no, like the Nintendo like, I'm sorry, man, we just outgrew you.
I mean, in a way, not really outgrew, but Rare notoriously
Had a drinking
never
problem?
delivered their games on time.
Oh.
They can never. They can never release their games on time. They never
of the
lose
drinking
it,
problem.
always. Exactly.
All right,
Exactly.
makes sense.
But yeah, and I think
Inspired
Nintendo got fed up
Conquer.
with that,
I mean,
frankly.
Conquer was originally supposed to be
Yeah.
a not rated M game, and then it became
And
that.
then, oh boy. Yeah, no, but Rare could not deliver a game on time. Dinosaur Plant was an N64 game that got delayed so much. Nintendo basically was like, well, let's put it on GameCube. Okay, now let's give it Star Fox so it can actually sell because we're so far removed from the announcement and the hype. They were notoriously bad at releasing games. So Nintendo probably was looking at it and going, all right, well, what they do release is basically stopgap for us, and it mirrors us. So we have Mario 64, they have Banjo-Kazooie. We have Mario Kart, they have Diddy Kong Racing. We have Zelda, they sort of have Star Fox Adventures, or Dinosaur Planet at the time. And they're probably looking and being like, yes, they gave us GoldenEye, yes, they did Donkey Kong Country, but we have Metroid Prime now. We got our shooter, even though it's not really a shooter. We can do Donkey Kong. And they probably
Well,
thought, you know
our
what?
shooter
We'll-
people
we'll-
can
You
do
know
Donkey
what?
Kong.
You know what? We don't need to have grabbed by the ghoulies in our
Exactly. Exactly. They were like, you know what?
Yeah,
Like,
cool, let
give
your ghoulies
grab
get
by the
grabbed by
ghoulies to
someone
the
else.
Blinks to Time Cap people. Let the Blinks people have it. But yeah, I think I know
Where
Nintendo.
is Rare based out of?
They're in the UK.
That's something.
Yeah, they're in a farmhouse in the UK. They work in a
Oh.
giant converted farmhouse. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Like, the history of Rare is really interesting. It was like these two brothers that started the company, and then they somehow secured a deal with Nintendo early on. They used to be an independent company entirely, and then they started doing stuff with Nintendo, and then obviously Donkey Kong Country happened, and the rest is history. But yeah, they could not deliver things in a timely manner, and all that they did, if you think about it, was just kind of the same things Nintendo did. So if you're Nintendo and you're like, I'll pay this much
to this
keep
day they
you,
still can, because didn't Sea of Thieves get like delayed a bunch?
It did, yeah. It's supposedly very good now, but yes, it got delayed a bunch, and they did some like post game stuff and all that. But if you're Nintendo and you're looking at like Rare's output, and then you are like, okay, maybe this is worth X amount, and then Microsoft comes in and goes, we'll buy you for your name, give us, here's double the money. If I was Nintendo, I probably would also go, you know what, we'll be okay. And just kind of, like, Rare only had one GameCube game. Period. Like, it took them like 3 years before they got bought by Microsoft when the GameCube was out, and they had one game.
What was it again?
And they're supposed to be this prolific developer, Star Fox Adventures. But when the GameCube was announced, they're going to have Donkey Kong Racing, where they ride the animals, and that never happened. So, like, you know, I think that's probably where Rare went.
The OG
maybe
Microsoft Rare logo is so bad.
Something,
it's so
right?
boring.
It's something. But I actually, now that I think about it, would not be surprised if that's why Nintendo doesn't outright buy developers a lot. It's because they maybe did get a little burned by Rare. Like, obviously Rare saved them, but also, like, kind of not. So maybe that's why they partner with other companies. But who knows? That was a bit of a tangent, though. Unless you guys have any other thoughts on Rare. There was another game that
another game that another dev company that Nintendo should buy, or that would fit perfectly with them, Yacht Club.
Oh yeah, and Shovel Knight's such like a huge property in the indie world that if they like lock that in, it already feels so Nintendo-y anyway.
Yeah, like I don't think of anything else but Nintendo when I think of Shovel Knight.
You know, honestly, I feel like the more you're suggesting these indie studios, the more I'm realizing I don't think Nintendo necessarily... I mean, I think the sports thing is still an interesting angle, in my opinion, but, like, they would probably do best with the indies. What was that, Angel?
It's Angel. You said Angle.
You're Angel. Oh, no, yes. I meant the word angle, not your name, but hi, Angel. Yeah, no, the indies they might actually do kind of the best with. Like, you know, what they did with Crypt of the Necrodancer and turning that into the Zelda game. Or, like, give F-Zero to the Fast Racing Neo guys if they don't want to make it themselves at Nintendo. Like, there's a lot of opportunities here. Yacht Club, Way Forward, probably some we're not even thinking of. Like, Runbow, it seemed very close to being a first party. Like, it felt like Runbow could very easily... Like, 13 AM Games could have ended up working with Nintendo on future stuff, but then they're doing a monster fighting game now or something, like a Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee type of game, which is not coming out till next year, I don't think. But either way, next year's in 3 weeks, so I guess it's not surprising. But yeah, like I feel like those little studios that could just sort of like figure out their niche and then have Nintendo sort of supply the IPs or work with them in tandem, that might be kind of an interesting way to do it. But it's kind of the opposite side of the coin, I guess. Yeah, but speaking of companies that are supplying their IPs to other companies, there's one other game that just got dated by accident.
Oh man, if you thought we were done talking about
weekend.
Warriors games.
Oh yeah, they're back. Persona 5 Strikers.
Swear, they're gonna make a Warriors game for everything.
As...
There's like a Gundam Warriors game. I wonder what Warriors games they have.
There's literally a Warriors for everything. And
there's gonna be a Mario one eventually.
I honestly would be okay with that, just because I'm curious what they can do with that. Now that I'm thinking
about it, like, yeah, he's got his spin attack that will like just knock 50 Goombas, just yeet them into the air, and just like.
I love when people say yeet something into the air. That sounds hilarious.
Truthfully, a Mario Warriors game could be really fun.
That'd be the only one I would. That would be the one of the few I would accept, because they normally have such basic attacks to no attacks.
Yeah.
That giving them attacks would just make them more interesting.
And they could also, instead of just having other characters, they could do like...
Dude,
you
could
give them the Flood backpack.
It's like the only time I wouldn't mind just like mindlessly matching one button if I could do it as Bowser. But
to be fair to the Warrior games, you mash like 3 buttons, not just one. But yeah, no, I think a Mario one could be really cool. And then they could even like... Can you imagine playing as Birdo and just having all these attacks where you shoot an egg out of your face hole. I don't know. It's not.
I've been
mouth, is it? I don't know
keeping
what it's
track of
called.
how many times you mentioned Birdo, and it's actually been increasing year by year. This year,
Oh, has it?
Yeah,
Has it? At what percent? At what percent?
it's increased this year by 80%. How many times you mentioned Birdo?
So it went from 0 to 8. Is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't remember the last time I mentioned
that's
Birdo.
8
but
times
all right.
more. We've had at least like 2 other conversations where you've brought up Birdo whenever we do the like, what character do you think should come out of something? Like any kind of like weird mention like that. Birdo does come
Birdo
up.
doesn't get enough love. Neither does War. Really, just Mario 2 needs more love. And I feel like a Warriors game could give it. I mean, also like Captain Toad with his little pickaxe. Perfect. There's so many. A Mario Warriors game needs to happen.
Peach with
honestly,
her umbrella. Yeah. I can
Yeah,
see that.
bring back her attacks from Super Princess Peach, where they made it really like sort of sexist by like
Yeah, I
here's
don't know
her
about
emotions.
that.
Yeah, maybe don't do that. But
Yeah, calm down,
yeah,
Jason. Calm down. Bring it back. Just kidding.
but like Daisy, who else?
Golf club.
There's so many.
Yeah.
You can even control
mean-
enemies. Like,
I mean, they-
what if
yeah,
you were
I
a
mean-
swamp?
I mean, they could get wild. I mean, they could bring in some of the people from the RPGs or stuff like that. I mean, they got the
There's so much
Fawfulls.
potential.
They got
You could
Cackletta.
Fawful, yeah, that would be a good one. All the
Or even
Koopalings.
Wario, Waluigi. Or did you already say that? But
No, but that's a good one. I think for Mario's 35th anniversary, well, they missed that boat. Maybe for Mario, maybe a celebration of Super Nintendo World opening when we get to that later. So maybe they do that when the park fully opens in 2 months. Have a game ready. I don't know. But yeah, the one we were gonna talk about, Persona 5 Strikers, previously known to our listeners as Persona 5 Scramble, because I think, Kevin, you shared impressions of the Japanese version, which is Scramble in like what, March, like before lockdown. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, no, I think it was before February.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because
so-
this is going to release here almost over a year after it released in Japan.
That's crazy. Because, yeah, it got leaked late Thursday night, the video, which said that it's coming February something. 5th?
February
4th?
13th?
Yeah, something like that. It's going to be properly announced on Tuesday, the 8th. The same day that you can pick up Doom Eternal for download only on your Switch.
Doom
but yeah, it's gonna be part of
Doom
this-
Paternal?
Did I say Paternal?
I heard Paternal.
Doom Eternal. Yeah, it's Doom Doom Paternal, yes. But yeah, it's gonna be announced officially, Persona, not Doom Paternal, as part of a 25th anniversary stream. But yeah, they Atlas at least took the leak in stride. They made some crack about like the Phantom D's intercepting on Twitter. But yeah, it's finally happening. It's not normal Persona 5 on Switch, but it's something.
Yeah.
You gonna get it, Kevin?
Well, it validates
absolutely.
Joker and Smash more.
Especially because they announced the PC version, so which was
Oh, yeah.
the,
Yeah, it's
the
coming to
oddest part of that announcement.
Mm-hmm. I do wonder. Or go ahead. Sorry, we're getting.
Next year is going to be a really good year for Shin Megami Tensei fans because we have the Nocturne remaster, we have this, and I mean supposedly we're getting Shin Megami Tensei 5, so we'll see.
I mean, it makes sense. 25th anniversary year. You might as well go big.
Yeah.
I do wonder if, like, I mean, obviously Persona's built up a huge fan base with 5 and even 4, but more so with 5 and Joker and Smash and all that. So, like, it's gaining momentum. But I do wonder if, like, the other side of the coin, like, the Warriors franchise is gaining momentum, or, like, the genre of gameplay is gaining momentum. Because, like, I was saying it sort of at the top of the show, and we were joking about how no one's playing Age of Calamity, but, like, 3 million copies in, like, 2 weeks or 1 week or something. It's the fastest Warriors game's ever sold, and I wonder if, like, people are going to play it.
But I don't think
like
that's
the Zelda
because
element.
it's a Musou game exactly.
No, it's because it's Zelda.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is if people get it for Zelda and actually like the gameplay and then are looking for similar experiences, if having Scramble now
that.
Strikers
They'll have
on Switch in a couple
Zelda-
months may interest them.
I mean, they have the Hyrule Warriors to look after. I'm sure most people that skip
Yeah, but,
Hyrule
like-
will probably check out Age of Calamity because they'll be that desperate for content on Nintendo. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm just thinking like this is the biggest spotlight this genre, if you could call it that, has had in its existence. And I wonder if there's going to be a bit of a ripple effect where Persona can benefit, or other, Mario Warriors or whatever they call it. when the time comes. But yeah, that got leaked, so that's happening. And then there was Fortnite. Now, obviously, Fortnite isn't a new game. They just keep on doing new stuff. Like, not only did they have this massive closer to the last season chapter that drew in over 15 million consecutive players, which is the biggest in the game's history, even bigger than when Travis Scott did his crazy performance. But then they launched a new chapter of their season right after that with more crossovers than probably ever. I don't know, Kevin. You're like our resident Fortnite guy.
I mean, Hearthstone. Minecraft still like way ahead of them in terms of, like, it's like most bought/played game ever, or at this point it's Fortnite like closing in on that?
It's not really,
or it's not even comparable. I guess is what you're trying to get at.
Well, you can't do a bot comparison because Fortnite's free. In terms of player base, the numbers that Microsoft keeps throwing around, 100 million are accounts made. And I don't know if Epic's ever gone on record about how many Fortnite accounts or Epic Game accounts
how many V-Bucks have been purchased.
Exactly, like, who knows? But there is, saying you have 15 million people that are tuning into a specific event. In this case, it was, what was it, Galactus or something? But, like the big Marvel culmination. Mm-hmm. But, that's a lot of people play one thing. Like, many TV shows would really like to get 15 million people. Like, at a big award show, like the Emmys or something, is only a few million more than that. So if there's 15 million people going to, like, play a game at once, that's at once in one live event, that's a huge deal, even if it's not the 100 million accounts that, like, Minecraft has accumulated over its entire existence or whatever. But, yeah, Kevin, what do you make of all this stuff? Like, it's getting crazy. Like, it's barely even, it's like outside its IP now. It's all these IPs.
Yeah.
Walk us through what exactly is going on first, I guess.
Well, I mean, so as a lot of people know, Fortnite sort of rebooted itself with Chapter 2. With Chapter 2, they had a brand new map, and the game pretty much went to a back-to-basics meta, where there was no crazy items. It was literally gunplay building, and, some like wacky interactions with the map. They added some new mechanics that kind of freshened up the game. The second season then did like the spy theme that I thought was really neat. Added some player versus environment elements to it, which were fun. The third
harkening
season,
back to what they were originally going for. Wasn't that like a thing in the
no, not necessarily, because I believe Save the World is more a tower defense game. While this is you're just like fighting bots. The third season was interesting because they submerged like half the map in water, and I thought that was really cool. But then there was an Aquaman skin, and I was like, okay, a little weird. Oh, and the second season had Deadpool as the quote-unquote secret costume, even though it was revealed right from the beginning. And I was like, okay, sure, Deadpool, irreverent, whatever. But then that third season brought Aquaman, and then the fourth season was just straight up a Marvel season. I personally hate it. I thought that the reboot of Fortnite was just exactly what I wanted to play. It's still over the top, you're building these massive structures to take down other players, but it never felt, I guess, it was like being in the countryside compared to being in like Times Square with just like, I don't want to get political on this, but it just speaks to consumerism and how, like, oh yeah, just throw Marvel onto it and everybody's gonna love it. I'm just like, just get that away from me. I don't want any of this stuff. Just give me a cool theme that doesn't have to deal with the outside world. Make it its own like in-game event. But and I understand why they do it. They do it for money. They do it for exposure.
Do you
I'm not
feel
gonna
like
fault
it's
them
losing
for that.
Do you feel like it's losing its identity in all these crossovers and IPs and metaverse of other franchises that's becoming?
Yeah, absolutely. I started playing Fortnite I think either like beginning of season 9 of the last chapter, which they only went up to 10. But I remember during some season, there was an area of the map that would turn you cell shaded because they were doing a Borderlands promotion.
Oh,
At the same time,
I remember that.
At the same time, there's a part of the map where there was zero gravity because of the season's theme, and then to top that all off, Gotham City was in the middle of the map, where you would
I
get.
don't remember that. What the heck? Well,
Yep. And I just like, why? Why do you have to have all these things at the same time? And people love this stuff, you know. It's just not for me. Especially that Marvel season, I didn't even touch. I was like, I'm over this. I might go back to the fifth. This new season looks cool, but it's sort of.
But then it too has a bunch
and
of
then they added Mondo, and now they added Kratos, and there's a rumor that Master Chief is going to be in the game. I just
not just Mondo, by the way. Baby Yoda's there with him.
Yeah,
just sort of floating there.
I was gonna say one thing. I can't believe
it is what it is. At this point, I just gotta accept it.
What are you saying, Angel?
I was gonna say one thing. I just can't believe that some things now exist. That's all I'll say.
Oh,
yes, yeah. It's interesting because like I feel like they're literally just throwing in whatever like the Mandalorian stuff like I get the whole scheme they're doing is all these different realities are crashing together, but like Mandalorian kind of feels a little out of place. More so Kratos. Master Chief, I guess,
Kratos
would feel a little. It's actually really interesting that Kratos is on all the systems. So like I saw a screenshot on Twitter, so I was like, Kratos is on my Xbox dashboard, and sure enough, there's a Fortnite thing with Kratos and a PlayStation logo in the center of his Xbox dashboard. So to anyone that says like the console wars like are the hottest they've ever been, I don't know. Like there's a PlayStation logo in the middle of the Xbox screen. Like there's it's not really a war anymore, but yeah, it's really interesting. And then you gotta wonder like is Nintendo gonna get involved? Like who's their bounty hunter? I mean, Samus seems like the go-to.
Oh yeah, Samus.
Yeah,
but I mean, in a way,
they're only...
Star Fox almost feels like it fits better.
Yeah, I would say Star Fox or Captain Falcon fit better.
Oh, Captain Falcon's not bad.
I mean, Captain Falcon. I mean, he is a bounty hunter. He has a gun in his holster that he never uses.
He would fit best, and they just mirror some of his like animations and moves from Smash.
And that
means that Nintendo would have to acknowledge Captain Falcon.
I know they have to make a new F-Zero. It's perfect.
I mean,
please do this, Nintendo.
They do it. I think like their best like slap in the face to F-Zero fans was Mario Kart 8 because they gave us a Captain Falcon skin. They gave us 2 F-Zero tracks and the Blue Falcon, but you couldn't even play as Captain Falcon itself. Instead, you could play as Link and the villagers. It's like they had one chance.
And the Inklings.
Eventually. But it's like, no, let's give Captain Falcon series so much love, but not him.
Sakurai probably has employees that don't even know what F-Zero is. And they probably think that Captain Falcon
is an original
is just like an original character from from Smash Bros.
It was crazy. Like 2 weeks ago was the 30th anniversary of the F-Zero franchise.
Back in the 64 days.
Not a blip. Yeah, he, no one knows who I mean, even when they put him in Smash originally, like, he was in the F-Zero games, but no one knew what he was like outside his vehicle. Like, they basically made up everything. But yeah, the F-Zero anniversary was like 2 weeks ago. Not a single anything about it.
I had no idea, but I don't even know when the year came out. I mean,
yeah.
What year did F-Zero GX came out? Because that's the one I would care about.
2003. It's been 17 years, going on 18 years.
Do you remember what month it came out?
The last stuff, August, late August, is like the 26th or something.
No wonder I wanted it for my birthday, or I got it for my birthday.
Yeah,
right around there.
But I think the last F-Zero was in the States was GP Legend. They released one in Japan after that called Climax. Both didn't do so hot, but I think GP Legend came out. It was on the Game Boy Advance, but it was like the tail end. It was like 2005 or something. It was after the DS came out. So it's been like 15 years since we saw any actual F-Zero release. So if they wanted to just throw them into Fortnite, that'd be cool. It's not going to happen, but it is interesting to your point about the crossovers count. Like, I feel like it's just becoming like this marketing machine.
Exactly.
Like the game, like it's, and I will say for like all of Epic Games shenanigans here, like they know how to keep the game in the spotlight and they know how to turn around and make some money while doing it. Like all of these promotions are the hottest things at the hottest moment for them. You know, like apparently Travis Scott made more money with that Fortnite concert than he made with any regular tour stop.
What?
And stuff like it's.
I don't know how to feel about that. That sounds.
What about the McDonald's stuff?
Or what about his upcoming rumored like custom PlayStation? Like I don't know, but yeah, I don't know about those. But he made a ton. He made like I can't remember the numbers, like 1.2 million from that, and like a concert stop is like 200,000 or something like that. Like it's crazy. And Fortnite's really good at that. And like not only that, but they strategically not just do this stuff, but then they follow it up with the exact right thing at the exact right time. Like so they did this event over the weekend, right? Where it is I guess the Marvel culmination. And then like the next day or like 3 days later, Nintendo just casually is like, hey, here's a special Switch bundle that, you know, it's just out now. Like they didn't even announce it in advance. It's Cyber Monday and there's like, here's a new Switch bundle, and for $300 you get a Fortnite skin Switch, like with a custom design with red and yellow blue and yellow Joy-Cons. You get the Wildcat bundle, which is a set of DLC, I guess, and 2,000 V-Bucks. And this is, you know,
Is
again,
right
on the heels of
V-Bucks.
I think it's $20 worth.
That will get you like one,
like
really
cost me a
skin.
third.
Yeah, nope. That will just get you one really good skin.
But like all that,
expensive.
All that happened like within days of the event. Like that's not a coincidence. Like it's very strategic, and you know it's one of those things that like they did so cleverly. Because if you're a parent who wants to get your Fortnite loving kid a really cool holiday gift, or you know maybe you just like tangentially heard or however you pronounce that word about what happened with you know over the weekend and the crossovers, and you're curious and want to maybe check out Fortnite, like. To have that like waiting in the wings and time it so perfectly, that's the strategy right there. And then like Epic at the same time like launching a subscription service for Fortnite separate from the Battle Pass, like mere days before the big culmination. Yeah, so that thing, it's called Fortnite Crew. Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong about any of this. It's $12 a month. You get the Battle Pass, you get 1,000 V-Bucks, so $10, and you get a monthly crew pack that comes with like an exclusive outfit and other goodies. And it feels like, I don't know, is it a good deal? I really can't. I can't gauge
yes, because the season pass will usually run you, I think about $9.
So for $3 more.
But to be fair, if you complete the season pass, you will earn enough money to get the next season pass for free. Oh. Those devious bastards. Now I realize what this is. They're so sneaky. That's actually that's genius. Well, yeah, because now you're actively paying for a battle pass instead of getting it for free.
The other sort of schemy thing here is
they're crafty. I literally just put two and two together right now. Jesus.
Also, it feels kind of money grabby because like now they have essentially two tiers of paid subscriptions in the game. Like one's the Battle Pass and the other is like Battle Pass plus.
Yeah,
that gets you paid for the Battle Pass twice. Like it's just like it again. They're very good at making money. There's no doubt about that. But it definitely has like a kind of like sort of.
I do find it funny that a lot of the comment sections for like this announcement that they're doing a season pass or like this. Yeah, season pass. Or the monthly subscription, sorry. A lot of people are like, oh, this is just them trying to get money because they're trying to get money as fast as they can because this game is dying. When they literally crashed Twitch with that Galactus event. This game isn't dead. This game isn't going to die anytime soon.
This is a cultural watershed thing. It's not going anywhere that quickly. Yeah. I mean, even, you know,
as much as a old man yelling at Cloud I am for these crossovers, it is a fun game. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a very effective mechanism to bring in new people. Yeah, and like you know, all those people are like, "Oh, the game's dying." Like those are the same people that are probably like, "Oh, Pokemon Go, like that was a flash in the pan." Pokemon Go had its best year this year in terms of revenue.
Really?
Like, it's killing it right now. Yeah.
Even
Or
compared to
sorry,
the
second
first.
best.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, second best. It's the best since the launch year. So year 4 is as good as year 1, essentially. But it made over like $1 billion, I want to say, or something like that. And it's like, you know, they reconfigured the game to work more when you're indoors because you can't go out as much because of COVID and everything. And like, you know, like Apple just spotlighted as one of the best apps of the year again. Like, it's still chugging along, but, you know, the same people are like, oh, well, Fortnite's dead, are probably the ones that are like, Pokemon Go's been dead for years, and it's a huge moneymaker. It's like the third highest revenue-generating game on the App Store. Like, I think Genshin Impact's number 1, I forget what's number 2, and this one's number 3. So, you know, there's a huge audience for these things, for sure. But I guess my one concern is I'm watching what's happening with Fortnite. I'm going, wow, that's a lot of money grabs. That's a lot of weird crossovers. And then I turn around and I look at Rocket League, which Epic bought, and I see it slowly moving. I see it slowly moving in that same direction. Like, granted, they're not there yet.
Everyone's
but, like,
moving in that direction. Hearthstone literally just brought out an actual like season pass or battle pass of sorts, and they never.
I don't even mean just battle pass. I mean, like, because yeah, they did the season pass.
It costs $25. I mean, like
$25. What do you get for $25?
Just skins.
That you
for $25
slowly unlock, right?
Yeah, they just slowly unlock on a track. What makes this one weird, I mean, is that it's completely inoffensive, or yeah, I think that's the right word.
As they usually are.
Like this one, well, yeah, usually like they don't affect like the free to play player. Like this one is just like more bonuses. Like if you just want to give them more money, you get some more stuff in return. The only, I guess, quote unquote advantage you get out of this one is that there's like a track that you complete, you know, like a trophy road of sorts. And the more experiences you gain, the more stuff you unlock, and every like 5 levels, if you paid for that pass, you get like an upgraded skin, or you also, in addition to whatever price you get at the bottom. But every like 10 levels, you get like a 10% or 5% like boost to the experience you gain. So, you know, you could just finish it sooner, basically. Because at the very end of it, for every like additional level you go beyond the max level, you get like more in-game money. So that one's not bad. I mean, it's definitely less invasive than like Brawl Stars, and even that one's not that bad, because that one, there are like characters you can unlock in the battle pass that are guaranteed, but if you don't get the battle pass, then you can just hope to unlock it in the, I guess, in the little loot box thing. But
and the thing with those is like, and I think where they're different from Epic's, what Epic's doing is like, those are like, okay, they're battle passes, they tie in directly to the game, they're very relevant. It's kind of like, you know, like Mario Kart Tour just this week added a new track for the first time to Mario Kart Tour, like a brand new track, not from another game. And it's, you know, it's called like Merry Mountain, and it's kind of Christmas themed, but it still feels like Mario Kart. What?
No, I said it'd be nice if they had such a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
That would be nice. But no, but my point is like that still feels like it's part of the game. Like what you're saying about these passes and what you unlock still feels like part of the game. But what I'm seeing with Rocket League is like I'm seeing shades of what's happening with Fortnite, because like they're doing for season 2's pass, they're doing an EDM theme, and that makes sense because EDM, like that genre, has been very closely tied to Rocket League, I feel like. But so they're gonna have like a new arena called like Neon Fields, and they're gonna have this cool feature they're adding where you can actually pick a music track to play whenever you score. Like that's actually kind of cool, and there's a bunch of different items you can get that will pulse with the music. But the trailer for this had a virtual version of the DJ Cascade just in it, doing a DJ set for a bunch of cars. And I'm just like, why is there a human in the Rocket League trailer? There's no humans in this. They've done such a good job of making the licensing all feel like a natural fit and be like car based and everything. And then they're like, look, it's Cascade with lasers shooting out of his stage, and there's a bunch of cars playing soccer in front of him. It's just like, what? Like, and that little, it's a minor thing, but that idea of like, oh, now we're putting humans in it because here's a big name DJ. He's actually kind of cool. He's making an EP of music just for the game that he'll then release on streaming. So that's kind of cool. But like having him like virtually in the game just immediately reminded me of when Fortnite started like putting things that didn't make sense into Fortnite, or things that felt like a marketing move more than a gameplay contribution. or something that feels native to that gameplay environment.
Yeah.
I think this
So,
one's a
like,
little more.
I just have this thought.
A little more, I guess, grounded compared to like the Fortnite stuff because this doesn't necessarily feel like a marketing push to me. It just sounds like Cascade is being featured because they are contributing to the soundtrack.
Yeah, so apparently they struck a deal with the record label he's on, and they're doing a whole bunch of collaborative stuff with them, yeah. But, which is, again, kind of cool, but I'm just thinking, like, you know, it starts innocent enough, like, as you were describing how Fortnite fell into its rabbit hole. Like, we're going down that slope, and I don't know if it's necessarily going to go there, but it is just something, seeing where Fortnite went, watching where Rocket League's going. They're adding cool stuff along the way, just like they did with Fortnite, but there's definitely in the background, there's just this little voice going, it's epic, you know what they're going to do, it's only a matter of time. So, we'll see. But right now, this stuff is cool. I really like the idea of having basically theme music play.
Oh, I totally forgot that Epic now owns Psyonix.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
that's why it's free to play, right?
Now I just got worried for Rocket League.
Yeah, exactly. See, yeah, because like I mean, how long like Cascade DJing, even though it's very grounded, is not how long until we have like Kratos in the game or whatever, like it's not. It's a slope. It's a slippery slope.
Right.
It just I guess feels like kind of a cheap way to extend a game's life, especially when like, there were other ways to do it. Like Rocket League had a pretty healthy esports scene around it to prop it up a bit. And obviously it's not the same scale as getting Cascade, but like, it seems like there are other ways you could do this without just the kind of cheap IP crossover that Epic loves so much. But we'll see if it goes down that road. Maybe they'll hold it back a little. But it does remind me, Angel, you wanted to talk about something with esports, didn't you? I just said the word, and it reminded me that we were going to talk about it. So
no, I actually want to save that for our next episode because tomorrow we're actually going to be continuing our long trek in our esport climb of Splatoon.
Or, by the time they listen to this, yesterday, by the time this goes live.
Oh, that's right. By the time you listen.
Tomorrow for us, yesterday for time travel purposes.
I mean, they didn't know that. Now you just made it confusing.
Well, if we told them you're doing a tournament on Monday, they'd be like, who had the tournament on Monday? Nintendo had one on Saturday.
Tournaments are normally run during the week.
Okay. Anyway, we'll save it for next episode, I guess. But what we can talk about this episode, like those were the games that made news. Nintendo itself did not make any game news, but they tried their best to make up for it with that new Switch firmware that came out. It actually introduced some new features.
Oh, man.
And some very baffling ones, some very Nintendo-y choices. I feel like before we go down this rabbit hole of complaining, we should probably point out there is some good stuff in this update. Honestly, there is. Like, first of all, new Mario icons for your user icon. That's kind of cool. I imagine they will not expire on March 31st like everything else Mario. I mean, literally that day, they're literally now shutting down Super Mario Maker on the Wii U on that day as well.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, they're sunsetting the entire online infrastructure for that game, and you'll only be able to share courses in the Switch version. Jeez. So, but new icons, that's a plus. Download prioritization, you can actually pick which things you want to download before other things. Cloud backups, the save data will automatically download to any Switch you log into with your Nintendo account. You don't have to go manually pull it. That's kind of nice. One thing I actually like is they have a trending page now on your list of friends so you can see what your friends are playing. And it seems like kind of a duh idea, like, especially if games, are going viral off word of mouth. But I don't know, I just think it's clever. Like, there's already, first of all, a lot of instances of, when a big new game launches and everyone points out on social media how, like, all their friends list is playing it. Like, I remember it happened with Mario 3D All-Stars, happened with Smash, happened with Animal Crossing, probably most notably. So Nintendo kind of leveraging that concept and running with it makes a lot of sense, especially since, eShop discoverability these days is so much harder. Like, there's so many games available. I mean, the cyber deals we were talking about when you were talking about Enter the Gungeon sale, Angel, at the top of the show, that was one of 1,500 games that was on sale. Like, how do you even find the right discount? Dang. 1,500 games. I think it's technically 1,477 or something, but I rounded. But still, that's a ton of games.
No, I'm not, I'm sorry. Keep going. I'll tell you guys what I left at.
Okay, sure. But anyway, point is, that's a lot of games, and it's hard to find discounts in. So any new, like, conduit of information about what games are available, on top of the eShop discoverability, on top of the news channel, on top of the various direct videos, on top of those new Nintendo Rewind summary videos they publish online at the end of every month, on top of the Indie World like social channels, like on top of all of that, having this other way of seeing what your friends are playing or seeing what's bubbling up and getting that word of mouth going, like that makes sense to me. I like the trending page for that purpose. And I think the interface is kind of cool where you could break it down and which friends have played it and by how much and all that. And honestly, I think like that same logic is probably why they integrated a Switch Online dashboard into the Switch, like proper with that new page app, whatever you want to call it. But that's also where probably the more baffling decisions begin. And Angel, I imagine that's one of the nitpicks you had when you let out that exasperated noise when I said the firmware update. Am I right? Is the Switch Online app one of the things you don't get?
Yeah, it just feels... Everything about it just feels wrong. Almost, yeah. Yeah, I don't like it.
Well, it's funny because in concept...
I guess especially aesthetically.
I think it's a good addition. Well, the icon.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't talk about it without talking about the icon. Like, yeah, so here's the thing.
I like the icon.
Really?
You guys think it... Yeah, I think... I'm usually the guy that likes to crap on Nintendo a lot. I like the icon.
It doesn't match the aesthetic of the other icons. Like, it's weird because I don't even mind, like, I'm weirdly okay with the Switch UI. I don't mind the lack of folders. I mean, I didn't use my iPhone's folders until 8 weeks ago, so maybe I'm not the best person to say I don't mind the lack of folders. But, like, I don't mind the lack of folders. I like the minimalism. I just, it just, consistency. Like, the Switch Online icon just, it isn't. It sticks out. It looks like someone stuck a sticker on top. And what's even weirder is someone on Twitter noticed the icon isn't centered. The Switch logo is off center in the icon. Like, what are you doing, Nintendo?
Okay, well, they can fix that. It's funny how I'm the one that's least bothered by this, considering that I'm the guy that gets mad when my box set of Mission Impossible isn't like consistent like the covers.
Right.
But
so why are you really don't mind this? You think it's fine?
No,
I mean, it's not horrible, but
yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I think it's because I got normalized to it on the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation Store icon doesn't really match the like settings or the Discover tab. Like, it definitely pops up. It's just it's fine. It gives it a nice little pop, honestly. That's how I feel.
I do understand the design logic. The best way to get someone to act on a call to action, like I know this from doing website stuff at work, the best way to get someone to act on a call to action is to contrast it from everything else on the page. And that certainly does. So I will give them that. And I do think in like concept, I kind of like the Switch Online app. Like, Angel, I'm kind of curious why you don't like it, because I actually like it does let you easily see what your subscription gets you, and it's kind of like a hub of everything. Like, you know, being able to browse all the free classic games in one spot is pretty nice. And as silly as it is, like even the
I think my
the little random birthday cake icon.
My impressions were definitely more knee jerky. I mean, it's just something I'm not going to use, so I guess we'll just leave it at that. Like, it doesn't offer me anything of value.
That's fair. I think honestly, if they were to sunset the individual NES and Super Nintendo apps and put those options and controls and clean up the UI and put it in this one place, you have a sortable list. You get fun facts about it that tie into your birthday, like this game's this much older than you and things like that. Like, it's a nice little way to sort. You can sort by genre, by platform. It's handy.
I mean, it does do like some things that I think are great in the sense that, yeah, like, I mean, it is great for that info to be out there. I mean, I literally know someone that like posted in a chat that I follow that they're like, hey, Nintendo just released over like 100 NES and SNES games on the Switch, and everyone was like, wait, what? Like, new ones? But yeah. I guess like because, you know, kind of like you said, like it makes it clear what is part of your subscription. They literally just never knew that they had those games. So I mean, that's great. I mean, now like, and they're probably like, whoa, yeah. But we're just like, wait, no, they've been tricking those things up like forever. But
and not just that, but like,
so that's definitely says a lot. Like, so maybe this was a long time coming.
Yeah, and like honestly, I think it's really great they included an events tab. Like, if you're in a given game or follow Nintendo or like the Nintendo Versus account on Twitter, you know about stuff like the rotating open tournaments for Mario Tennis and Mario Kart and the Splatoon one we're doing this weekend. And you may see something about that in the news app, perhaps you happen to boot up Tetris 99 at the right moment and you see, oh, hey, this weekend is also the Mario Anniversary Maximus Cup, and you can net like a new Mario All-Stars skin, which, yes, of course, if anyone's wondering, I will be doing that because I have every single skin and I'm not going to miss one. I got to keep the collection going. But my point is, like, having that on a hub, like all that stuff your subscription lets you participate in, it does feel useful to have that on your Switch instead of having to go to so many different places, and hopefully you're on the right YouTube channel, or you follow the right Twitter, or you see the right thing when you boot up a game. And the same kind of goes with the other tabs, like having a spot that shows what products you can get discounted, you know, like the physical controllers, that's kind of nice. Like the fact that you did have to go to a bunch of different sites and a bunch of different landing pages and know what those sites are and know what those social channels are, that always was kind of odd. Like it was so decentralized and so scattershot. But so having this app is nice, but the thing that I don't understand is why was none of this in the Switch Online mobile app this whole time? Like, why did they have this app on your phone that they say is your hub for all your Switch Online activity and your voice chat stuff, and they never bothered making a small tab to say, like, here's other things you can buy from us, or here's things you can do with this, or, like, here's games that have tournaments. Maybe you want to go pick one up so you can participate, or, like, not to get crazy, but here's the trending games among friends, or who's online. Like, it's so weird that they waited 2 years, I guess, because the service was a year late, to make an app and launch this thing. And, you know, they did that, and then they waited 2 years to be like, by the way, here's what you're paying for, and here's how we're going to suck more money out of you. They just kind of assumed, like, oh, it's fine. No one wants to give us more money, and no one wants to use what they bought. It's so strange. And then they launched it on the Switch, which makes a certain amount of sense. But then the app that was much easier for them to update, I'm sure, they just never did. Still doesn't. It still doesn't have the stuff that the app on the Switch has.
Maybe it's really because bizarre. They know that everybody hates that app, that they would rather
probably
just pawn it off to the Switch. And say, like, oh, a new experience, instead of having to, you know, blow the dust off that app.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the one that gets...
I think
the most. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I think you were about to say it anyway.
Yeah, the one that gets me the most is the image sharing stuff. Was that where you?
Yeah, couldn't they have figured out a way to just send everything to the app? But I don't know.
So to walk people through who haven't updated to Switch 11.0 yet, they introduced a new way to share images more easily off your Switch. So right now you can use the share sheet inside the Switch, and your tweets are still limited to 140 characters, which is bizarre. But you know, you can do that, and that's it. So you can share an image at a time, or a group of images in a tweet. And if you want to get them onto a computer, you either have to pop the SD card out, or like have a fake Twitter account that you post them to, and then delete the tweet, or, you know, whatever. Now it's so much easier because you can either and I use easier loosely. You can either plug in a USB device and just transfer them, which, okay. Or, my favorite, there is a 2 QR code transfer system. One, you scan the QR code, and then what it does is it connects your phone to your Switch, which is spoofed as its own server. So it turns off your phone's... Yes. So what it does is it takes your... Yep. It creates basically a wireless LAN network between your phone and itself. So your phone connects to the QR code, triggers a special network, and your Switch, meanwhile, starts broadcasting out a Wi-Fi signal. And that Wi-Fi signal, if you go to a set IP address, which when you scan the second QR code, it sends you to on your phone, that set IP address will load your image or video or whatever in. And it loads it as like a blank web page with just the image or the video on, and they just, you know, tap it to save it and whatever. But yeah, it's literally turning your Switch into its own little private personal hotspot with its own little independent server, and then you have to scan the second QR code to get the IP address for that server, and then the image shows up on your phone, and then you can save it.
They can figure this shit out, but they can't figure out Smash Bros. Netcode?
Correct.
It's almost more impressive that it felt like they took the harder route.
They clearly took the harder route. And what's amazing about it is, like, someone on Twitter made a really good point. Like, Nintendo was probably thinking not like, oh, like, we could just put it in the app, but, like, let's do this. Like, they're so forward thinking. When they shut down Switch Online, when they shut down this app in 8 years, you can still transfer your photos because your Switch is its own on-demand network. Pretty forward thinking, if you ask me.
They're probably Nintendo R&D is probably like so stoked that they figured how to do this. They're like,
It's just
this,
so.
oh my god, Nintendo babies, what is you doing? Like,
I just love it takes 2 QR codes because first you have to scan it to trigger the network, and then you have to scan it to get the web page. They couldn't even combine those into one. I mean, you literally can't. That's not Nintendo's fault. But what? Like, what are you doing, Nintendo? So, Angel, did you have more thoughts on that, or did I sort of cover it?
That pretty much covers it. It's like, it's not that bad. I mean, no, it's bad. I mean, it works.
Yeah.
I'm just happy it works. I mean, honestly, the only thing that kind of redeems it, no, it doesn't really redeem it. The only thing that makes it not total, like, terrible is just the fact that you can, like, send things in bulk, but it's only 10. I think it's up to 10, which, does kind of suck. It's like at that point, like, why not just allow you to send as many things as possible? But honestly, at this point, it's just faster to take out the SD card, stick it in like a converter, and just put it on your computer, and bam. But
which also is what you've been able to do since 2017.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like they came up with these like half-step sort of things.
Yeah, if anything, doing it this way is more inconvenient. Jesus. All right. Well,
but at least it's a new option.
Have either of you done photo transfers this way? Like, how long does it take?
I haven't done it yet.
I tried just to test it out.
In the past, I've just like tweeted it out, copied the picture, and then deleted the tweet.
Truthfully, it's not that long. I mean, you connect.
Okay,
you open it up.
The fact that you had to say it's not that long.
It's definitely not as seamless as if. Yes, it is. It's not as seamless as if you could transfer it to the app directly. It's not as seamless as if you just tweet it out directly. But, you open it and it's like, all right, scan the first QR code. And then you do. And then it thinks for a second. It's like, cool. And then the second QR code lights up. Meanwhile, your phone's like switching networks. You see it go off your home Wi-Fi, go to your cell service, and then a minute or not a minute, 10 seconds later, kick in the switch Wi-Fi. And then the second QR code's there. Then you scan that and then you get your image. And you have to get back off that network and back on your regular network. So, it's like maybe 25 seconds.
Its own network. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
I think you mean impressive.
Yeah. It's a technical feat. Technically, it shouldn't happen, but it's a technical feat. So, you know what? Let's counterbalance that firmware silliness. Because Nintendo also made some news with Universal Studios by announcing good news. Super Nintendo World is opening ahead of schedule. Or ahead of the behind it previously was. So still behind the initial date, but ahead of the new date.
But sorry, before we move on to that, the thing that I was laughing at, you know how you brought up the new icons?
Yeah.
The new profile pictures? One of the comments in the Nintendo Life article is, will the Mario anniversary icons also disappear at the 31st of March?
Yeah, they probably will, knowing Nintendo. I don't know, what happens on April 1st, 2021? Is there something they know we don't? Like, does an asteroid hit? Like, what is it about that deadline?
Yeah,
does Nintendo file for bankruptcy?
They're acting like those guys in that one episode of Parks and Recreation that are selling the flutes, or that Ron is selling the flutes to, and they're like, will you take a check? Oh, hopefully you can deposit it. Oh.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't know. There's rumblings, by which I mean internet wishful thinking that maybe Nintendo's going to do some sort of overhaul of Switch Online around then, and that's why all these things are ending. So they're going to redo the account system, but I don't buy that.
Oh yeah, with their new crack team that's creating private networks,
private routers for everyone, or private networks for everyone. Yeah. Listen, here's what they're going to do: is if you have a Switch that has its own private server, and there's another Switch that's its own private server, what if Nintendo could devise a way that they can talk to each other through your phone line? Think about it. Could be real innovative.
Whoa! Hey, 5G isn't going to be the thing to kill us. All right, it's this private Nintendo network that our Switch.
Yep.
Is going to be.
You better get your Faraday boxes for that. Yeah. But yeah, so Universal, unless there's anything else, I guess Universal Studios is kind of the last story before we get to our big contest. And that is that it's opening February 4th. And they made the announcement by showing off some photos of the now confirmed augmented reality enhanced Mario Kart rides waiting area. Not the ride, just, where you go stand for the ride. But here's the thing. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the photos. In my opinion, if the park is as of high quality as that waiting area is, we are in for a real treat because that waiting area looks really nice. Like, it's inside Bowser's castle and it looks good. I mean, Angel, that statue, I imagine you must have been very excited when you saw that.
No words.
By the time
those
that we
who
get
don't
out of quarantine, I'm
as a
pretty sure that I can
speechless, as in
recreate.
speechless.
What?
As in speechless,
What?
but yeah.
What were you saying, Kevin?
By the time that
Time
we get out of quarantine, I'm pretty sure I can recreate Super Mario Land at my house. we're never going back to Tokyo, boys. No, this is no Osaka.
Well, that's okay.
This is no Osaka.
And it's going to open in LA in a few years, so it's fine.
Oh yeah,
but yeah,
when
like
LA opens up 20 years from now.
Good one,
Yeah.
Jason.
But no, but honestly, that waiting area, like the amount of detail. I mean, the statue I'm referring to, for those who haven't seen the photos, we'll link to in the blog post. But it's Bowser. It's a huge stone Bowser, like huge, and like it's in this waiting area that has like a red carpeted staircase, like Mario 64, and there's like a trophy wall. With all
people are going to be like taking pictures of themselves, like pretending to jump backwards there all day.
Oh, of course, it's going to be great.
I
love that they did this.
There's going to be a line for that.
Yeah, we're going to be walking, and we're going to have to wait for Jason to get us a photo.
Oh, yeah.
We're not even going to be walking. We're not going to move. I'm just going to be taking photos the whole time. We're going to take like a step.
He will be left behind.
Go on a given day. No, never.
That will be... I don't need pictures. Everything will live in my head.
I need pictures. Instagram.
Unless it's Bowser related.
But anyway.
The only pictures I'll take.
I am actually curious, when we do, like, before we get there, how is Universal going to handle, like...
You?
A launch like this with coronavirus. No, not me. I'll be fine. But like, I mean, Japan isn't nearly as bad as here in the States. Like, nobody's as bad as here in the States.
PAX just released that like tentative like schedule.
I know,
for next year's PAX.
which
like,
is probably not going to happen. Yeah,
you poor naive, poor beautiful babies.
But yeah, like I am kind of wondering like how they're going to handle COVID over there, because one of the final comments in Bloomberg had video footage from the park, from the waiting area, and one of the final comments from the reporter was like, it's actually kind of small, which, how's that work with crowd and spacing? Because you can't have a small space with a lot of people, so I'm kind of curious what they're going to do.
Small space as in like very cramped, or just a small footprint of the entire Universal Studios?
I think they mean it's a small footprint, but there's going to be a huge rush because this thing, has so much pent-up demand. Yeah, But yeah, it actually leads to a different question. I'm kind of curious how much they're gonna, like, what's gonna open at the start and how are they gonna roll out? Because like what we've seen is the Mario Kart rides waiting area, but we also know that there's that calmer Yoshi ride where like you literally ride on like the back of a Yoshi, and then there's the wristbands that grant you coins as you walk around. And then you got the cafe and the gift shop, and separately, like over in Osaka proper, I guess, opposed to like being in the theme park, Nintendo's also now setting up a dedicated Kirby store, which is kind of interesting. And then Bloomberg also reported that the Donkey Kong Country expansion, which is rumored, is already underway. So I guess it's not rumored. So it seems like Osaka in general is going to become kind of like this hub of Nintendo franchises. But like, what does that like? I mean, initially we were going to go ASAP, like collectively, the group of us, and I still do want to get there like quickly after the pandemic's over. But there's a part of me that's like, maybe in a weird way, waiting longer may be better, because like things are sort of trickling in. They're not launching this as just like, here's Nintendo World. They're like, oh, here's Mario Kart. It seems like, or maybe Yoshi is coming. They just didn't feel the need to show it off. Like, I don't know. And we haven't even touched on other things that, like, in some recent promo art for Super Nintendo World, there's a Pikmin randomly. Could be an Easter egg. Could be a hint of something in the park. Maybe there's like hidden Pikmin that are kind of like its version of Disneyland's hidden Mickeys. Like, I don't know. But all this stuff seems to be happening, but there's really no way of knowing when it's happening. Like, all we know is there's this Mario Kart ride called Koopa's Challenge, and that's it. So I'm kind of curious, like, what the pacing of this is going to be. And Universal, even with, I think we're at 12 weeks, maybe less, they're still not really saying the full story. They've always been like drip feeding it. So I'm kind of curious what it's going to look like and how small is small. So those are my ponderings. I don't know if you guys have ponderings about this, but that's kind of what I've been stewing over since I saw the videos. Definitely
haven't been pondering what you're pondering. I could say that.
Oh, well, I tend to ponder a lot, especially when I try to ponder for things to talk about on the podcast and its ponderings. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong; it looks awesome. I'm just kind of wondering like how's this gonna be, and I'm sure whatever happens, great memories will be made. And speaking
Just
of
not by
memories,
us anytime soon.
Just not by us anytime soon. But speaking of memories,
remember when we were like, "Oh yeah, we'll just go 2021 after the Olympics." Yeah.
yeah. We'll
Whatever
probably
happened
2022.
to the Olympics? They're just indefinitely postponed
They're
until
next August. No, they're next August as of now.
I mean, yeah, as of
We'll
now.
see if it sticks. Yeah, so as of now, we'll see if it sticks.
Yeah.
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 Or you can check out the 2020 Olympics in Mario Sonic at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, available now on your Nintendo Switch.
Well, not on my Switch. I don't have it on my Switch.
Well, available for your Switch.
No,
Sure.
gotcha,
I don't own
gotcha.
it either.
There we go.
Yeah, I should word that better. But yeah, speaking of memories, I was trying to do a really lame transition to our final thing. Unless you guys have thoughts on Nintendo World that we haven't touched on. But we do have to give away a Game & Watch. And with it comes Mario memories. So we asked everyone that wanted to enter to tell us their favorite Mario memory, and I think it's only fair if we share our favorite Mario memories too. Can't be one-sided, can't be hypocrites. So I can go first. It's funny because there's the one that should be is like experiencing going from Super Mario World to Mario 64, from that 2D 3D, that jump, like stretching his face for the first time, like all that is a great memory, and I feel like that should quote unquote be the one. But honestly, it was the launch of Mario Sunshine that sticks out as me as like the peak like Mario moment in my life, because I think I was at like peak fanboy at that time.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Like hey, listen, it was a choice I made.
To have you?
Yeah, I love Sunshine.
Just to have peaked so young, to not have anything, to not have anything after that moment reach that high. Like, I'm so sorry.
Well, no, it was like all summer. I was like that. The GameCube, early GameCube era, like I'd say from like 2000 to like.
So you've never been that happy before?
I don't know. I didn't say it was a happiness thing, but there was definitely like a peak, like that whole summer. I was really excited for Mario Sunshine. I remember all like Nintendo Power had so many previews, and I remember they launched a website back on like whatever 2002's internet was, and I was all about, I was like saving all the GIF, like transparent GIFs of the Piantas and all the different characters, and like what I ended up doing is I was so psyched that at the start of August, or like a month before it came out, the end of August, I actually made in Microsoft Word with word art my own tearaway countdown, and I made a sheet. It had the art that I took from the official site. It had like the Mario Sunshine logo. I made everything look tropical, and then I printed and cut out tearaway pages, so like 30 days, 29 days, 28 days, and I like built this thing and put it on the fridge with like magnets, and was like so excited for this game. And I think what was most rewarding about it is then the game came out, and it totally lived up to what I wanted it to be. And there's just like a week or two of just pure like, this is so awesome, like gaming right before I went back to school. And it was like the whole summer like culminated with Mario Sunshine. And even when they showed it at Space World, when Nintendo still had Space World, and I saw it online, like with the whole like shine get, because that's what they did in Japan, is to shine when you got shine and all that, and like Planet GameCube at the time did like a DVD of like footage from, you could like buy for like $10 this DVD that was like, all the Space World and E3 highlights. I think it might have just been E3, and like Mario Sunshine was like the main thing, and I purchased it and had it shipped to my house, and I was like all about it. I was so psyched, and it completely delivered on what I wanted it to be, and that was like a really cool experience to go through. Because like obviously, Galaxy's a better game. There's been other Mario moments, like there's been other fanboyish Nintendo moments, like when the Wii came out, I was super psyched for that. But there's something like, I don't know, something maybe because it's like the first go round of something at that level for me.
Your excitement definitely tends to come more from the buzz around the game than the games themselves. So I could definitely
but I really had a great time with the game right up until I had to go back to school. Like,
no, yeah, but I mean,
even that freaking Manta Ray boss, I was super like, I hated him, but I was so like, this is so awesome.
But you could tell like the, like how you were describing, like just like the, I'm already blanking out on it.
Like the anticipation,
like how you were like collecting all the gifts from the sites, like the promotion around it. Like, I mean, which is cool, but I mean, it definitely sounds like very Jason. So, and I could definitely see why, like, you, that's a lot of that is lost after Sunshine because, in the age of the internet, you don't really have as much, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess there's many different ways to really, like, promote and, like, hype people up because everything is just in one spot now. I feel like there
And
was
it's also
just,
instant too.
yeah, I feel like everything is gradual and you really do have to, like, wait for these announcements. So, this is one of the, yeah,
Yeah,
like,
because I mean,
I totally can see why this one would be like peak. Kind of how
right.
like I don't know. I would say like almost like the hype for Brawl is kind of like that. Like I think there was definitely more hype anticipation for Brawl than there maybe was for like Ultimate and any game after Brawl probably.
Well, it was the first with the dojo, wasn't it? So Smash
Yeah,
Bros. Dojo. So like that daily drip feed,
I
it was
mean the
kind of
first
them
one with those
recreating
crossovers as well. Like I mean it was that first mind blowing one.
yeah,
It went from like oh
true.
my god like what are they gonna do next to now where we're like all right just give us the next person because I wasn't happy with this last one. But
Right.
yeah.
So what? So would you? I guess it qualifies because he's in it. Would you say the Brawl lead up was one of your favorite? Like, what's your favorite Mario memory?
It's definitely a more recent one because I mean they just kind of keep evolving. Um,
Uh huh.
I mean, it's always just like those first few moments that like I get to play a new Mario game that I'm always like really excited about. But I would probably say like just like off the top of my head, like the one that I cherish the most is just playing through Super Mario 3D World with Elvis. Like,
Hmm.
because up until then, like, we both like individually 100% every 3D platform Mario game, like every single one. We both like do everything. So to be able to do one together was just, I don't know, it was incredible. Like just doing like the every boss together, like helping each other out, like cheating some of the levels because like we would like take advantage of the fact that we have these two people. I don't know, it was just an amazing feeling that I wish we had more of. Because like I know I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before, but my favorite kind of games are like co-op games. Like I think that's why like I know we've mentioned many times that like Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6 as not great of a Resident Evil game 6 was. Like I loved it so much because it was just a really fun co-op game. Or Revelations 2. But Super Mario 3D World was just a really fun co-op game and it just had a bunch of really difficult levels towards the end that made it worth it. Like especially those like 3 extra worlds after. Like it just kept going and going. Usually you just get like one super hard level or maybe one
Hmm.
bonus world, but this one just had a ton. I mean, it was I don't know. I That's part of why like I'm really excited about. Well, maybe not really excited, but kind of excited for the Switch port, only because of the new content. But like I don't
Hmm.
know if I really want to play through all of that with like, because like my brother and I like it's like kind of been there, done that. We would need to change it up. Like that's kind of why I'm looking more forward to maybe playing it with like you and our two other friends because that would be like a completely different group. Because I know like Obus probably wouldn't
Right.
want to replay Mario 3D World again. Maybe just the Bowser stuff. So
Right.
yeah, just any game that lets me do that, it's always going to be up there.
How wholesome. That's a good one. What about you, Kevin? Do you have one?
Probably opening up my Nintendo Wii on Christmas Day and
Ooh, were you
loading
N64
up.
kid before the Wii?
No, no. Uh,
Shouting "we" at the
uh,
top of your lungs. The Wii.
Nintendo Wii.
probably,
Nintendo Wii.
probably opening that up and playing Galaxy for like I don't know 8 hours straight. Just the
Oh
amount
wow.
of whimsy, just the amount of whimsy and smiles that game brought to like my entire family that were just
Oh,
watching me play this game. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, it's I don't know.
That's a good one.
It's just yeah. Don't really have
And
more to say than that. I think it's just man, Mario Galaxy is such
a
a
treasure.
perfect game. It's just yeah, and the fact that they
yeah.
stuck it in that collection. Ugh,
At least the updates
That's
fix
And
some
they left out
things,
Galaxy 2.
but yeah.
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 At least they fixed the inverse control things for Sunshine, but that software update the other
They
week.
also got rid of the little
But
Geo cubes from Sunshine
oh yeah, the
and
the
GameCube
little dev
support,
error there.
which is really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if they can support with Smash, why not with? It's funny
And
though,
they
'cause,
added Galaxy 2, which is nuts.
okay, that they did. If they did that, that would have been amazing. Even if they do it as
mhm.
DLC, like that would be pretty cool. But um, Yeah, so I guess with that, we should probably just point out before we pick our winner that a lot of people, the majority of people, 60%, said Mario 64 memories were their favorite memory. In fact, our winner, who we pulled out of a hat, also said Mario 64. But there were a couple shout-outs for Super Mario World. There's a shout-out for Mario 3. Paper Mario got a shout-out as well, which was interesting. But yeah, our the biggie was Mario 64 and the idea of like experience Mario in 3D for the first time. And our winner is Leonard M. And I'll just share his memory. It was playing Mario 64 when he was a kid. He was so happy, excited because it was a truly unique experience because you travel around different worlds inside the castle. It was his first time experiencing a 3D game too, so he was amazed. And yeah, he was the name we pulled out of a hat. So he is getting a Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers system.
Damn, congrats. That's a really nice prize.
Yeah, and
Bam, bam,
yeah,
bam,
it is.
bam.
And thank you to everyone who entered. I feel like I was very nonchalant with announcing him, but what you gotta do? We've been talking for over 2 hours. It's 1 in the morning.
It's 1 in the morning.
And Jason wanted me to talk about esports.
Well, I didn't expect our episode to go so long. I mean, remember at the top, I didn't even know what this episode was going to be. So
I knew it was gonna go. I knew it was gonna go on for a while, but I like the more I thought about it, because we are, like I mentioned, entering a tournament.
Yeah.
This time tomorrow being Saturday. There are some things I want to kind of go through tomorrow to see if just to flesh out some thoughts on it, because I don't know, learned some pretty interesting stuff that kind of opened my eyes to both Nintendo esports with ARMS and Splatoon 2, and just how Korea handles their esports scene, which just kind of blew my mind. Like, some of them might be common knowledge, but I had no idea it was this crazy. But yeah.
And what a good tease for the episode where we'll be discussing that, which is our next round Nintendo, which arrives on December 20th. It's also our Game Award goodness episode. We're going to be talking about the Game Awards and the highlights and the announcements from that. Plus, we're going to have our own Game of the Year picks. So you don't want to miss that episode for Angel's esports stuff and all that Game of the Year stuff. Also, before that, we have a Quarantine Chronicles this coming weekend in the in-between of the two shows. And yeah, to make sure you don't miss any of this stuff, you can follow us on Twitter at Ram Nintendo. You can subscribe to us on everything. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn. Our YouTube is randomnintendo.com. We're individually on Twitter at our various names. I'm JSR7. Angel's WEIRO_O. Kevin is KVN Gomi. I forgot to say this when we announced Leonard as our winner, but Leonard, keep an eye out for an email so we can get your mailing info so we can get you your Game & Watch. And everyone else, keep an eye on our channels and everything because, this isn't the only giveaway. We got one more in us before the end of the year. So I'll leave it at that, but as always, Kevin, we do. Kevin, I will give you the final word.
I'm still thinking about that Nintendo photo sharing process. Jesus Christ.